time of the day. It's 5 o'clock on a Thursday. That means it is time for C4 Sports. We'd like to say it's the best sports talk in the Macomb area. I mean, if that doesn't come off as too arrogant, I guess that's okay. It's your boy Matt up in the studio. It's only two of us for right now. I think we're going to have Adam joining us later, but it's Matt and Darius. I'm at LmanMatt93.
And I am Darius Hawkins, as Matt just said, and y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Hawk_13.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off tonight with the show. We got some basketball action. The NBA playoffs are underway. All series are tied at 1 right now, with the Cavs winning last night over the Bulls. That's the game I saw. I believe the Grizzlies also beat the Warriors last night.
Last night, Houston beat the Clippers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was a little surprised to see that. The Clippers have been playing real well, especially Chris Paul.
Yeah, he's been out the last two games with the hamstring injury from Game 7 versus the Spurs. But it was impressive to see what Blake Griffin did. In Game 1, Houston was up 10, and then they lost the lead, and the Clippers were able to take it. And then in Game 2, the Clippers had a lead, and Blake Griffin, I believe, had 27 at halftime.
Okay.
And then they only held them to like 6 points in the second half. So, I mean, Houston was able to, do what they had to do. James Harden started hitting some shots. Dwight Howard has been consistent this whole postseason, playing well, which is usual for him in the postseason. We know I don't like him, but he does show up. Like I said, Harden had a good game. They had some clutch shots down the stretch. Good play by Corey Brewer and Jason Terry. But, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Houston should be disappointed that they're up 1-1 instead of being not up, that they're tied 1-1 instead of being up 2-0. The Clippers definitely should have lost Game 1 without having Chris Paul. Not having your starting point guard, there's no way that you should lose, at home when the other team has no starting point guard there. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Clippers are able to do since Game 3 and 4 in their house, if they're able to go up 3-1, because this is a big win with having Blake Griffin. He's been playing a point forward.
I was about to ask, what about the way Blake Griffin has been playing?
And to me, he's been the best player this postseason. I believe going into last night, his postseason averages were 27 points, 13 rebounds, and maybe 12 assists, I believe it was. Not 12 assists, 8 assists. So, 27, 13, and 8.
Yeah.
And this is crazy because if we remember going into this season, not the playoffs, but the actual season, remember, I had Blake Griffin win the MVP.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So he's actually playing the way I expected him to play once the season started in the postseason. So he's definitely showing out. And Chris Paul, like I said, he's been out the last two games, but Game 7 versus the Spurs, he hit the game-winning shot. They were able to beat the reigning champs.
Yeah, that was a tough shot, too, right over Tim Duncan.
It was. So, I mean, they were definitely able to beat the reigning champs. So I don't really know, what to think so far of who's going to win what as far as in the East and in the West. But Blake Griffin, to me, has definitely shown out as the best player this postseason.
Yeah, I know Doc Rivers has given him a lot of praise. A lot of what I've seen from the NBA playoffs have been on ESPN, other than kind of the Bulls and LeBron, what he's been doing. I watched a couple. I did watch that game where Chris Paul hit that game winner. That was kind of crazy. That was a little disappointing because the Spurs were my pick for champion all year long. And I was surprised to see the Clippers playing as well as they have, because they've always been that team that chokes in the playoffs. In the NHL, we've got the St. Louis Blues. Every year, they're like, oh, this is it for the Blues. They finally got the roster, and then the Blues out in the first round every single year. The Clippers have kind of been like that for the NBA the past 4 or 5 years since they've gotten Chris Paul over there. So that's kind of another reason why, too, I was feeling real confident with the Spurs, and I'm really surprised. I think it's really been the play of Blake Griffin that's really elevated him.
Absolutely, because Chris Paul did have some games where he struggled. I believe Game 6 he actually struggled, and he was able to play better in the second half, but to me, I know we weren't able to do a show last week going into the fight in the Game 7, which was both on Saturday. But the big thing to me was I felt like after the Spurs lost Game 6, I felt like it was pretty much done for him. I was still rooting for him, just like you were doing this because we picked them to win the title. But losing Game 6 at home, it's tough to go on the road in the Game 7, even if you are the defending champs and be able to beat them. And then, I mean, it came down to the last shot. So the Spurs definitely had a chance. They drew up a play at the end of the game, which I still don't understand. They threw a oop inbounds, which didn't work. But the Clippers, like you said, we've been used to them not fulfilling expectations in the playoffs. And, I mean, it looks like they're on their way to the conference finals. I know it's still tied 1-1, but I believe Chris Paul, hopefully he should be back for Game 3.
Yeah.
And if he is, I mean, it's hard to see the Clippers lose 2 at home. Either one of them. Because if you're able to win without your all-star point guard, then, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to win when he's back, and everybody's back to their normal position.
Yeah, definitely. The play of James Harden seems to be a bit sporadic in the playoffs this season. What have you seen from him? He's a guy who he was the runner-up, I believe, for the MVP after Curry. I think I probably would have given him my vote for the MVP this year since Westbrook didn't make the playoffs. Yeah. What about his play in the playoffs have you seen?
I agree with you 100%. I remember last time we were on here, I believe 2 weeks ago, we talked about who we think was going to win MVP, and I agree with you that I would have gave Harden my vote as well. So far in the playoffs, counting yesterday, he's had 3 good playoff games so far. 2 were in the first round, but it's kind of been the same thing, James Harden, that I've seen so far in the postseason the last 3 years. He doesn't really show up as far as offensively efficient-wise. He's shooting a lot of shots, and they're not falling. But he did his thing yesterday, so maybe this is a good thing. And they're going to need him in this series. Last year, Dwight Howard was their best player when they played Portland in the first round. In the first round and in this round so far, Dwight Howard has been very consistent. Yeah. And I know when you start, it's going to be different playing 82 games with Dwight because he's hurt and then not being necessarily a great offensive big man. Sometimes his numbers not going to produce. But when you're playing the same team in a 7-game series, Dwight's numbers are always going to be 20 and 10 plus. Yep. It's hard really to contain them. I mean, they do a great job of doing pick and rolls and letting him roll to the basket, throwing the alley-oop. That's like automatic all the time. He was hitting his free throws yesterday. I mean, he had 2 free throws yesterday that the net just switched on both of them. It was like he was a shooter.
Yeah, that's a little surprising.
Yeah, he's been balling out. And they have a team who I don't really necessarily like their bench, but Josh Smith has had productive moments. Jason Terry, despite his age, has still been producing. Yeah. Corey Brewer has been producing. Pablo Prigioni hit some shots yesterday. Terrence Jones is out there. So I definitely think they have the team. They should definitely feel like they could win the West. The West is wide open right now. And if he plays better, plays how he was playing yesterday, I believe he had 32, then they should be able to take the series. I just don't feel like he's going to be able to be consistent because he hasn't shown that he can be so far.
Well, then what do you see either team having to do, the Rockets having to do to win, or the Clippers on the other side?
I think for the Clippers, bringing back Chris Paul, if he comes back for Game 3, the big thing is don't let that mess up how everybody else has been playing. Yeah. Of course, he's a great player, and him being back will let everybody else be in their roles. But hopefully that doesn't diminish Blake Griffin's impact. Like we said, he's been almost averaging a triple-double. Yeah. I saw yesterday he was the first player – no, he's only the 3rd forward all time to have back-to-back triple-doubles in the playoffs. And I know John Havlicek was one of them, and I forgot who the other one was. Mm-hmm. So, it's been the first time since the 70s that anybody that's not a guard. And he's been the first guy since Jason Kidd in, I believe, 2003 to have back-to-back triple-doubles in the playoffs. So you don't want to diminish his role and everything that he's been doing. And I know Chris Paul, him being a pass-first guy, it's not like he's going to be trying to diminish it. So hopefully they just go ahead and take care of business, at home. DeAndre Jordan got into some foul trouble early yesterday. So, if he stays out of foul trouble, they should be fine. As far as the Rockets, I think it relies on James Harden. Dwight is going to do his thing. James Harden has to be consistent shooting the ball. Yesterday, even in moments when he wasn't shooting well, it's like sometimes he comes down the court, and, we know how he likes doing the pull-up jumper thing, and it doesn't always work out, to be the smart basketball play. And sometimes it's almost like he's just lollygagging out there instead of playing aggressive all the time. I don't really know what's going on with that, but hopefully for the Rockets, hopefully he just comes out and he's consistent. If he's aggressive from the start, attacking, getting to the free throw line and everything like that, it should be fine. All I hope overall, though, is that they stop doing the hack a big man thing. Hacking a Howard, hacking DeAndre Jordan.
That's terrible. That's so boring to watch.
The game was like 3 hours long yesterday. That is way too long. And, I was falling asleep. I wasn't even, to be honest with you, I wasn't even watching the second half. The second half was on TV, but I was playing bubble shooter. That's what I was doing. Like, I was getting bored with the game. It's not exciting when the game slows down because that big man is shooting free throws all the time. Hopefully they stop doing that. I know they won't because it's a tactic that they doing. Yeah. But the Rockets shot 60 free throws yesterday. That's crazy. There's no way that one team should shoot that many free throws. That's brutal to watch, man. Yeah, so hopefully just for the series impact, just as a fan, hopefully they stop doing that. Yep. But if I had to pick somebody right now to win a series, I probably would go with the Clippers. Just because they still have those 2 remaining games at home coming up. So hopefully they'll be able to take the lead off that.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Obviously, most of my attention has been focused to the NHL playoffs as a whole.
Yeah.
But from what I have seen, I've seen pretty much the highlights of every game so far from the NBA, and I've watched a lot of the Bulls and Cavs games. I would probably agree with you with the Clippers. I think just at the end of the day, from what I've seen, it's the play of Blake Griffin that's going to be the difference. I've always been hard on him. I've always thought the kid's been an overrated player, and it seems like he's finally filling his potential. I actually watched a little First Take, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, with Skip, of course, raving about Blake Griffin and how he's become this complete player since his time at the University of Oklahoma when he left there in 2009. And just what I've seen from Blake, he's kind of starting to turn me into a believer. We'll see if he can keep it up. I want to see him do it for, like the consistency in a regular season.
Yeah.
But for this playoffs, he's been killing it. So I'd have to agree. I like the Rockets. I like James Harden, but it's hard to pick him in the playoffs, it seems like, going all the way back to the 2012 finals where he just laid that huge egg while being that big time. The sixth man of the year for the Thunder. And so I'm going to go with the Clippers in this one. The other series that I find really interesting in the West is that Golden State and Memphis series. I think both of us picked the Grizzlies to win this one. We picked it a long time ago. I remember us, what shows we have had here second semester. There haven't been too many.
Yeah.
But even back in January, February, when everybody just jumps on the Golden State bandwagon. They're the bandwagon. It seems like every other year in the NBA there's a bandwagon team.
Mm-hmm.
The Thunder of 2012, going back the Spurs of last year. The Heat in 2011 when LeBron first got there.
Yeah.
Seems like that's Golden State this year. And everybody's Golden State, Golden State, Golden State. Yeah, they're fun to watch. All the threes. Stephen Curry might be the best shooter ever, it seems like, with that stroke he's got. But me and you have both said that if there's a team to beat them in the playoffs, it's the Grizzlies. They just match up so well with them, and they got a big win the other night.
Yeah, absolutely. They were able to get that win, which is big because Golden State, to that point, had only lost 2 games at home this whole season.
Mm-hmm.
The last one, I believe, was to the Bulls, and that was in, January. So it was definitely a big win. Mike Conley played well. I remember we were talking before we got on the air. I believe he had something like 23 points in 26 minutes or something like that. But I'm still 100% on Memphis. I was happy that they were able to win that game because you got to win at least one in Golden State. They're probably going to have to win another one because I don't think they're going to win all 3 games in Memphis.
Yeah.
The next 3 out of 4. But they do a good job defensively, and that's the reason that I really thought Memphis was going to be able to beat Golden State is because Mike Conley and Tony Allen are good defenders. Steph Curry didn't shoot well in Game 2, and Klay Thompson played horrible.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a good night. Tony Allen was locking him up, and the camera kept going on Tony Allen. He kept yelling out first team all defense. That's what he was yelling out on the court. And then Zebo and Marc Gasol. Draymond Green has actually played better on Zach Randolph than I thought he was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually played some pretty good D. But they still have nobody really to guard Marc Gasol. And then when you at Courtney Lee has been playing well, and that's one guy I never liked Courtney Lee.
All I remember about Courtney Lee is that 09 finals where he missed the game-winning layup.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the last time I was like, all right, Courtney Lee. Yeah, he looked like he was going to be a good player after that, and then he got traded, and it just never really worked out. But he's fit well for Memphis. He's been playing well this postseason. And then, Beno Udrih has been playing well. And then you still got Vince Carter, you still got Jeff Green available. So I definitely think Memphis has the tough team to beat Golden State. Hopefully they win tonight, and hopefully they also win the next game at home. I hope that they win both of them. But it's definitely – oh, they don't even play tonight. They play Saturday. Look at that. There's no games tonight. Oh, okay. Well, I'm happy I looked at that before I said that. They got a long break there. So that's actually good that they have a long break for the sake of Mike Conley because he's still recovering from the facial surgery. Mm-hmm. He said he has like a plate in his face, a titanium plate or something like that. He had the mask on.
Yeah, his face looked a little nasty.
Yeah, and he had like cramping going on during the last game. And he towards the end of the game, he was definitely sitting out a little bit and had to recover some. But the team that Russ Rise, that should definitely help them. But it's hard for me to think of a team as Golden State that they're going to play the same. Yeah. There's no way that you win like 67 games and you don't make any improvements. I know they're looking at tape, looking at ways that they can get Steph better looks, how Klay can go ahead and shoot better. I know that they both said that there's no way they're going to shoot like 3 or 18 or whatever they shot from 3 again.
Yeah.
They said that, and I know that's not going to happen because even though they both shot well, Steph was still getting a lot of the same looks, open shots, and they just weren't falling that night.
Yeah.
So I know it's going to be a tough series. I feel like once again it's going to go 7 games, which means Memphis is going to have to win on the road in Game 7. Which, is going to definitely be hard to do in a place like Golden State. But these are 2 teams with conflicting styles. They both have great home court crowds.
Oh, yeah.
So it should definitely be a good rest of the series. But I'm definitely liking what I've seen from Mike Conley. To me, Mike Conley has been the second best player in this postseason. Like I said, Blake Griffin has been number 1. Mike Conley, the 4 games that he was in versus Portland, he killed my boy Damian Lillard on both sides of the court. And then so far with the game, he just came back this last game, we talked about how he scored a lot in just a little bit of time. So to me, he's definitely been the second best player.
Yeah, that's kind of been the key, I think, for Memphis. When I saw he was out after picking the Grizzlies to beat the Warriors all season long, I was like, oh, snap, I might have to change that pick with Mike Conley out. He's the number one key to the Grizzlies, it seems like, especially offensively. Because, they do have Marc Gasol, but at the end of the day, it seems like it's a guard-dominant league, and somebody's got to get Gasol the ball. But with Conley back and making the contributions that he has, I think I am going to stick with my pick with the Grizzlies, and I'd say in a tough 7-game series probably. I think they're able to grit it out on the road. Just that kind of seems to be the mentality of the team, is kind of grit it out.
Yeah.
And I love the court down there in Memphis. Some great home court atmosphere, like you said. I think it's the Oracle Arena as well in Oakland for Golden State. They have a great atmosphere as well. Though maybe some bandwagon jumping might be going on, but hey, that happens every year. So I think I'm going to stick with it, though. The game slows down in the playoffs, and that helps the Grizzlies out a lot. So that's why I think I'm going to have them over Golden State in 7 games. I'm going to go ahead and stick with that pick that we've been making all year long. Looking on the other side of the bracket, the Eastern Conference, I'd say probably the least interesting matchup is Atlanta and Washington. I honestly, I'm not going to lie, I pretty much know nothing about what has happened in this series. I don't think I've really seen anything.
Well, I know that they played 2 games so far, and I also know that I watched neither one. So, it's just like you, the series is boring. I mean, there's no need for us to lie about it. Nobody wants to see the Atlanta Hawks. I like the Wizards, but they were disappointing this year. I picked them to get to the conference finals, but there's no reason for me to have to watch them if I can find something else to do.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't know what I was doing neither time these games were on. I just wasn't watching. But the thing about this is, I believe you had Atlanta winning this series, right?
I think I had the Wizards.
Okay, so we both had the
star
Wizards.
Power.
Yeah, we both had the Wizards, and it's not looking good for them because John Wall, they say he has like 5 displaced fractures in his left hand.
Yeah.
Which is, that's obviously not a good thing. So it basically seems like he's not going to be playing for the rest of the series. So who knows? Maybe Atlanta is going to win the series. But as far as from an analytical standpoint, I don't know what the heck's been going on. I know DeMar Carroll had like 25 or something in game 2. And they're going back to Washington for these next 2 games. Hopefully Brad Beal is able to, to go off for one of these games. Maybe we'll get a Nene flashback from last year's playoffs. But besides that, I don't know what the heck is going on. I just know John Wall is hurt, which gives me another reason not to watch this series.
Yeah, that's one of your boys, him and Beal.
Yeah,
over there in Washington.
I really like Brad Beal. John Wall has made me a fan this year. But, it's a tough break for them because they definitely have been playing well. But you still got a vet like Paul Pierce there. You got Ramon Sessions, who you traded for, to be an upgrade from Andre Miller. So, it's not like they don't have the team. They still have the team there. So, as far as they're concerned, there should still be no excuses. I know you lost your star player, your best player, but you still got a young guy. Brad Beal has to show up. As far as I'm concerned, this is his time to shine right here. And like I said, you still got Paul Pierce, who is an experienced playoff vet who still hits big shots. So they should still be able to beat Atlanta because it's not like Atlanta is going out there with LeBron James or Michael Jordan or anybody like that. They have a whole bunch of glorified role players too. So, hey, Washington, handle your business.
Yeah, without Wall, it's going to be tough. Honestly, I'll just pick Atlanta at this point with John Wall being hurt, just for the home court advantage. And really the most I've seen from this series, Paul Pierce and I think like half the Wizards team was at the Washington Capitals game, Game 7 against the Islanders in that first-round series with the Capitals won. And I saw Paul Pierce was talking some smack, actually. They were right next to the Islanders bench, and apparently he was talking smack to the Islanders team, which I find kind of funny that he would do that even at a hockey game. So that's about the most I've seen from that. Paul Pierce apparently always running his mouth even when he's in the stands of a hockey game.
Yeah, this is true. I don't even know what to say there. I said twice because it just had me confused. I don't know. He's a good dude to watch play as far as trash talk wise. Every time he hits a clutch shot, he keeps saying that's why they brought me here. That's fun. It's good to see, athletes have enthusiasm about other sports. So that's always a nice thing to see. But talking all that trash, I guess that's what he's going to be doing versus Atlanta because they're going to need him to show up.
Yeah, the final series, which is probably the most relevant, especially to us here at Western Illinois, it's the Bulls and Cavaliers. The series I hate seems to happen every year to me. It kind of sucks. My boy LeBron, my idol, my favorite athlete pretty much of all time, LeBron James, versus my favorite basketball team, the Chicago Bulls. Gotta love Derrick Rose and all those guys, being a Chicago kid. So I'm split on this one. I'm happy either way. I will root for whichever team wins. I know that makes a lot of my friends upset, which I don't understand why they care so much. I really don't get it. Why, like, no, you can't root for the Bulls if they beat LeBron. I'm like, why can't I? That makes no sense. I've been a LeBron fan since I was in 5th grade. I've been a Bulls fan ever since I've watched basketball, so I don't understand why I can't. But apparently I'm not allowed to do that. Just thought I'd let you know that, Darius.
They're trying to limit you, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to put rules on you.
And I still just don't understand why people hate LeBron so much. I really don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
There's no reason why you should.
But yeah, we saw apparently, at least as it stands right now, it's going the same way it always has in this series. We talked about it a little bit before the show. Whenever LeBron James plays the Bulls in the playoffs, it seems like he's going to lose game 1, then win the next 4.
Yep.
And that's what happened. He dropped game 1, a nice showing from the Bulls. I saw the second half of that game. Then I watched all of the game last night. I kind of regret wasting my time watching that since I turned it on. It was 20-6 Cavaliers, and that kind of was the storyline for the rest of the game. LeBron dropped 33 after apparently, and I'm saying this in quotes, being shut down by Jimmy Butler in the first game. And the Cavaliers kind of just dominated the Bulls. I know it ended up being a closer game, but that's because the Cavs had their scrubs in at the very end, and the Bulls cut it to like 11 or something like that. But yeah, it was pretty much all Cavaliers last night. We got a tie series headed to the United Center.
Yeah, for game 1, I believe for both games I had to work. So game 1, I missed the beginning of the first quarter. Then I got back and I saw the Bulls were up by a lot, and I was like, okay. So I watched the rest of that game. And then I saw, LeBron wasn't necessarily producing on the same level, but Kyrie had a good game, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And I remember they were up like 20 at one point, and I was like, it really doesn't matter to me if they win this one just because of what you talked about. They've been up, the last 2 times they played them, they've been up 1-0, and then they lose the next 4. And I picked the Cavs to win this series, and I'm still sticking with that. And then game 2 yesterday, the Cavs did exactly what I expected them to do. They went ahead, and from the start of the game, they took off. And LeBron had 33, I believe it was.
Yeah, 33.
Put the headband back on, which I personally like.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like the headbandless look. Not a good look for him.
So I like him bringing that back out, and he took over like I expected him to do. And one thing that he said that I saw that was interesting, he said that during game 1, and it's kind of what he does all the time. He doesn't like coming out aggressive. He likes observing and seeing, what's out there, and then he takes it from there. And then he said he felt he had to be more aggressive, which he liked in game 1 because, of course, they're missing Kevin Love. So he said he had to make up for that too. So personally, I believe in being aggressive all the time, but I understand and actually respect, and I can see why he would, say, let me just not come out and dominate from the start. Let me see what opportunities are out there, because we know he's a guy who likes getting his teammates involved. So as far as the Bulls are concerned,
Derrick Rose has played well.
Yeah, he played well, and then yesterday, he didn't play necessarily horrible. He didn't shoot great, but everybody's gonna have a off night every now and then. So I'm not gonna say he played horrible, but I think the big thing that I tried to ignore at first, but it seems to be relevant, is how Derrick Rose plays when they have 2 days of rest and when they have 1. 2 days of rest, he's had great games. 1 day, he's been inconsistent. And so they play tomorrow night, so that would give them, 1 day of rest.
Yep.
And actually, that's how the whole rest of their series is. I believe it's 1 day of rest, since because they're so close to each other, Cleveland and Chicago, they're probably not putting 2 days in between the traveling plans. So, hey, man, the Bulls got to show up. Jimmy Butler, they got to score offensively. Joakim Noah, first of all, has been a shell of himself. The Bulls might need a new center.
Really?
I know he's been hurt this year, but I don't know what the heck he's out there doing.
Yeah.
And Pau Gasol, soft.
He's been hitting jump shots. That's about it.
Yeah, Pau Gasol has been soft. Tristan Thompson has been killing them on the offensive boards.
I was going to get to that point. When I'm telling all my friends who hate LeBron and love the Bulls, and I'm telling them the Bulls should win this series without Kevin Love, because they have LeBron James playing and I'm going to say in quotes again with LeBron in this case, he's the 5 out there sometimes. He's their, I guess, center, even though he's the one taking the ball up and stuff, but he's still technically the center, and he's guarding the Bulls center. Yeah. When you have Taj Gibson, Pau Gasol, Joakim Noah, Nikola Mirotic, all these guys, and the biggest guy out there for the Cavs is either LeBron or Tristan Thompson. And even last night, I think the Cavaliers, I might be wrong, I don't have the stats in front of me, but from just eyeballing it, the Cavaliers were at least even in the rebounding category. The Bulls gave up many offensive rebounds to especially Tristan Thompson, and he's just outworking them. The Bulls are all watching the ball, and Thompson's crashing to the rim. And I thought that was going to be, if the Bulls won the series, It's because Love is hurt and the Cavs just can't control the inside. Like, even watching Game 1, the Cleveland played good defense on the Bulls, and they just got so many second, third chance opportunities, which I think that's the number one reason the Bulls took Game 1 was those offensive rebounds. And I'm like, that's going to be the key to the series for the Bulls is the Cavs just can't keep up with them inside. But last night, there's no reason. Kyrie Irving was grabbing boards at times, too, and it's like you have these guards just getting rebounds around Pau Gasol and Joakim Noah. That's literally no excuse for the Bulls to not win the rebounding battle every single game.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the Bulls are doing rebounding, but they're not boxing out. Like you said, Tristan Thompson has been all over.
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on, but I think a big key that a lot of people haven't talked about is Amon Shumpert. Amon Shumpert has played well these first 2 games. I know they said he hurt his groin yesterday, so he might – I think they said it's like 50-50 or something that he might play. That's actually a big thing. I know J.R. Smith is coming back, so that would put Shump probably on the bench anyway, back on the bench. But he's actually been playing very well. And he's a good move for the Cavs, not just for his shooting, but we know he's a defender.
Yeah.
That's really what his reputation is, even though he hasn't guarded roles really to this point that I've seen. But it still just having another defender out there is big, and that limits the Bulls' scoring options. And also – if we look at the last 2 games the Bulls have won, which was the blowout versus Milwaukee and Game 1 versus the Cavs, Mike Dunleavy was a big key in both those games. He was shooting the ball well in both matchups. And so it's really, maybe he's the X factor. He's really the guy that they need to really start hitting shots. We know that Rose is going to get everybody watching him. Jimmy Butler, who officially won Most Improved. And then you have Gasol, who's the playoff vet, who should be able to get you 20 points in at least one of these games. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. And the way he's been shooting, not the way he's been shooting, but the way he just plays soft, and you can't do that versus Cleveland.
Yeah.
If there's one thing you're going to do with Kendrick Perkins, Mozgov, and Tristan Thompson, somebody's going to hit you. They're going to bump you. Kendrick hit him yesterday.
I saw that. Yeah.
There was no need for it, but I liked it. I mean, shoot, you got bad blood in the playoffs, get under somebody's skin, and I mean, it's working. Cleveland got the win. And there's no reason for me to believe that Cleveland's not going to take at least one of these next 2 in Chicago. Chicago probably, I think they'll get one more win.
Yeah.
But I don't have any reason to believe why they're going to win the series. They have to show me that they're going to win the series. They have to prove it to me. All these other series that are 1-1, I can see for both sides. The Bulls, just because of previous history, they got to actually show me mentally that they're over this winning 1 and losing the next 4. They need to win. To me, they have to win the next 2. They have to. I don't think you can be 2-2 going back to Cleveland. I think they have to win the next 2 if they want this series.
I think too a big part of it is the Bulls still, with the question mark on Derrick Rose and how he's going to play and his consistency, is they don't have that guy who's going to go ahead and get you a bucket in crunch time. Every time. You don't have, like Cleveland has LeBron or Kyrie, maybe even Kevin Love if he was healthy. I'd like to say it's Derrick Rose or Jimmy Butler, but Butler hasn't done it yet. This is kind of his coming out year, I would say, to be an elite type player. And Derrick Rose, you never know what you're going to get with him. You really don't. So it's interesting to see how the Bulls play in crunch time. They were able to hit the free throws, I guess, in Game 1 and seal that victory. But I felt Game 1 was more about their defense and second chance opportunities than any sort of big shots. And in Game 2, they were just blown out of the gates, so they had no chance. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to, is I think that's what the NBA playoffs are all about, is having guys on your team who can hit big shots. The Cavaliers have it. They've proved it. I just want to see if the Bulls can do that. I think at the end of the day, it all falls on Rose, because he's obviously going to be their best offensive creator and facilitator and shot maker. So if he can make those big shots in the fourth quarter, I think the Bulls can win the series. Initially, with Love hurt, I was almost going to say I would say Bulls in 6 or 7, but from what I've seen last night, I really don't know. I think it all depends on what you're going to get from Cleveland. I think what you're going to get from LeBron and even Kyrie. I've really been impressed with the way he's played. He's kind of settled in to his role playing next to LeBron, and he's definitely going to get his. And it's just we have to see what Bulls team comes out for the rest of this series.
Exactly. You mentioned the free throws, and I believe Derrick Rose didn't shoot one yesterday, and Tibbs was actually complaining about it. So, I mean, he'll probably get to the line just because usually that's how that works. But I wonder, if it's turmoil going on with the organization anyway. I know the players have to be distracted some because of the Chicago Tribune report that if they don't win the title, that Tibbs is going to get fired this year. So, I mean, that has to distract the locker room somewhat. But, I mean, hey, you're professionals. Y'all got to get over that. And whether that's a distraction or not, I still feel like this series would have went the same way. Like you said, we know what we're going to get from Cleveland mainly because of LeBron.
Yeah.
LeBron, you know that he's going to, at the least, he's going to come out to play. And Kyrie, to this point, has shown us he's going to do the same thing. Yeah. I've never really been a Kyrie Irving fan, but he shows up. Yeah. He shows, especially the big games. He shows up and he plays. Derrick Rose, From what I missed some of the first half yesterday. Like I said, I had to work.
He was making shots in the first half, a
but
decent amount.
I was told that he kind of does the thing where he sits back some and he doesn't play fully aggressive until they get down. And that's why I saw that part yesterday when the Bulls were down, and then I think they made like a 14-0 run or something to open like the third quarter or something like that. And I'm like, okay, they're cutting the lead, and then all of a sudden LeBron looked at the team like, all right, that's enough. Next thing you know, the Cavs are back up 20. Yeah. And so I mean, you don't want to play from behind if you're the Bulls just because LeBron's not going to let that happen. He's the best player in the world for a reason. Yeah. So this is a team that you got to get out in front of, and then you got to hope to contain them, which is going to be hard to do, but hey, it's the playoffs. That's what you signed up for.
Yeah, and what's kind of fun to watch, just at least the LeBron fan for me, is Kyrie Irving and how this is a guy, first taste of the playoffs, and you can tell he's kind of thriving in it. Like, this is a guy who's been waiting, and he's making the most chance of his opportunity. And like I kind of agree with you, never was really a fan of Kyrie before, but he's made me a fan of his, kind of following the Cavs this year with LeBron returning home. And he is a lot of fun to watch, man. He kind of reminds me almost of, to make another hockey reference, he's kind of like the Patrick Kane, I'd say, of the NBA. Just the guy with the quick hands, quick feet, quick moves, able to just pull something out of his butt. Like some of the layups he makes with the and ones are pretty incredible.
Layups. That's the thing. A lot of people talk about Kyrie and they talk about his handle.
Yeah.
But his finishing at the rim is one of the best I've ever seen. He can finish with both hands. He does it with contact. He does the little artistic stuff in the air and everything. I mean, he's able to finish. It's like I can't remember offhand seeing Kyrie Irving miss a layup.
He missed one last night, actually, an easy one, because he tried to, he had, I think, Dunleavy behind him on a breakaway, and he tried to lean in and get the contact, and he just straight up missed the left-handed layup. Yeah. But I think LeBron came and, finished it up on the second chance.
I seen the one where LeBron had missed one.
Yeah, LeBron did the same thing.
That's another thing about the Bulls. That's exactly what you talk about. LeBron comes down, he tries to draw the foul, he doesn't get it, and he misses the layup. There are 3 Bulls on that side, and LeBron is the only Cavalier. There's no reason why LeBron should get his own rebound and put it back up and get the bucket.
Yeah.
The Bulls got to play. They got to be more aggressive on a rebound, and that's a big key. And we know the Miami Heat and the past when LeBron was there, they weren't a great rebounding team. Everybody used to talk about that's what's going to hurt them, rebounding. Well, they're a better rebounding team now, but still the Bulls need to be aggressive on the boards, and that's why it's hurting. Gasol is soft. He's been soft. Yeah. That hasn't changed. Noah, I don't know what's going on with him. He's been a shell of himself. I've been seeing a lot of turnovers from the Bulls. I don't really know. That's not fully on him. The whole team overall has been turning the ball over like crazy. I don't know what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that. And then you have Taj Gibson, which I don't really know what he's been doing so far in this series. But they gotta get rebounds.
Yeah, I just haven't seen the same intensity from the Bulls, despite what a lot of people think. Honestly, from what I've seen following the Bulls for years, this is Joakim Noah's team. Like, they take on his identity, not Derrick Rose. Sorry, my fellow Bulls fans. It's not Derrick Rose is not really a big leader, and they don't take on his personality. It's a Joakim Noah's team. They take his identity, if only because he's been the constant force. He's been their best player, with Derrick Rose just sitting on the sidelines for years. Yeah. And we haven't seen the intensity, I think, from Joakim Noah really in this whole playoffs.
Yeah, it really hasn't been, and that's why I'm wondering. Like, it's almost like something's wrong with him. Like, you're sick or something. I don't know what's going on, because he hasn't had that intensity. And I mean, my roommate Jamal, he said something very intriguing to me yesterday. He said maybe it's time to fire Tibbs, and I feel like Tibbs is a great coach, but maybe it is time to move on, because they haven't got to that next level yet. And he's a guy who plays his stars a whole lot of minutes, his main players. He did it with Luol Deng. I always say he ran Luol Deng into the ground. Yeah. And he looked like he's doing the same thing with Jimmy Butler. And he's a defensive coach, but the team, especially with Jimmy improving and Mirotic playing well, they really turned more into an offensive type of team. And maybe the rumor has been that they want Fred Hoiberg to be the coach. Maybe he can come on some Steve Kerr type thing and have an offensive game plan. Maybe it will help them. But I feel like the Bulls, they need a more up-tempo system, because Derrick Rose is a guy who he can run up and down the court with the best of them, just running, baseline to baseline. And that might be the new system that they need to have, because the Bulls, they come down the court and then they just stop. They run the screens, and then the main play seems to be pick and rolls with Gasol. Yeah. Well, that's fine if you're in Memphis like Mike Conley. That's what they do. They slow the ball down. But you have a point guard who's explosive like Derrick Rose. You need an up-tempo system. You got to use that to your advantage, having a guard like that. And they don't really seem to be doing that with that offense. So maybe that's hurting them. So there's a lot going on with the Bulls. This whole coaching staff and everything might change this offseason.
Well, what's interesting about this series, too, is as good as, like you said, Derrick Rose and Jimmy Butler are in transition, I think Cleveland is killing them in the transition game, especially when the Cavs have the ball. Obviously, you're going to have LeBron and Kyrie. He might be the best transition player of all time in basketball history with what he did with the Heat and now returning to Cleveland with Kyrie and Kevin Love while he was healthy. But really, the Bulls why I think they went on that 14-0 run is made baskets. I was saying the whole game, I was watching with one of my buddies, and he's like, oh, here come the Bulls, here come the Bulls. I'm like, they need to stop. They never got the stops they needed. And it's because you miss shots, turnovers, too many turnovers. That all leads to easy baskets for LeBron James in transition. And I know he had a nice dunk. He just dunked all over Jimmy Butler. I know once, maybe twice, he got him in the last game. It's just the Bulls seem helpless. When the Cavaliers can get out and run, whether it's Kyrie doing his handles, then his finishing, or just LeBron James being LeBron and just a straight freight train coming at you that you literally cannot stop, they need to figure something out, and I think it starts with making baskets.
Yeah, and you talk about that transition, it's only going to get better with J.R. Smith there.
Yeah.
The Cavs have those four guys where you have James, Kyrie, Smith, and Shump. Those are four guys who in transition, they're going to be able to, to take advantage of that all the time. And the Bulls really don't have that guy. You got Rose and you have Butler. The rest of your guys are kind of slow. And then you have Noah, who definitely is not a transition player.
Yeah.
So they don't really have that type of guy. So, yeah, that's actually a main thing to look out for is transition buckets because the Cavs definitely have, the team that's going to excel in that. Like you said, LeBron, he might actually be the best transition player in history because you can't stop him.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, the only way you can try to stop him is a tackle, and it's not football. And most of the time, he still scores past that. So it's hard to do anything with him.
Yeah, it's been a real interesting series to watch. Both teams very much in it, but I'd say right now the consensus, at least from C4 Sports, well, C2 Sports today, is that the Bulls are in trouble right now. They're on their heels, headed home.
Absolutely.
We got a lot more basketball talk coming up. I believe Mr. Adam Feiner will be here when he's done with baseball practice. So he's got a Western Illinois baseball update. So if you are a Leatherneck baseball fan, be sure to wait for that. Then me and Adam and Darius, maybe you can chime in as well. We got some hockey talk before the show's over, but we might be cutting it early today for our final show of the semester. But after this break, we got more basketball talk, some MVP award wrap-ups, and what we're looking forward to for the rest of the playoffs. This is C4 Sports on 88.3 The Dog.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay!
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing, it really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Wow, yeah, since the storm, it's been crazy busy for us. We got all kinds of office desks coming in. Now here's a fancy one right here. It's missing a leg, but that's all right. whatever. Washers and dryers from a laundromat. Oh, wow, and check this out. Another deep fryer. And I'm not sure what this doohickey is. Yeah, most businesses weren't ready for a storm like that, you know. But our work's really piling up here at Roberts & Son Salvage.
What will become of your business after a disaster? Nearly 2/3 of businesses aren't prepared for an emergency, and 40% of businesses that experience a disaster never recover. Make an emergency plan now, before it's too late. For a free online tool that helps you develop an emergency plan to keep your business up and running should disaster strike, visit ready.gov/business. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the American Red Cross, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to C4 Sports right here on 88.3 The Dog, live from Studio 326 in Salee Hall. I guess we're C2 Sports today. No Ryan yet, and Adam, I believe, will be showing up later after baseball practice. So that's when some Leatherneck baseball talk will be coming up. We have an insider, player from the team himself, Mr. Adam Feiner, can tell us a little bit about the Leatherneck baseball team. But we're going to continue to talk NBA basketball until Adam arrives in studio. And we just kind of wrapped up talking about each individual series. I'm all about kind of the awards. I love seeing who's going to win the awards and tracking the awards, no matter what the sport is during the regular season. I just got done actually writing up a post for homework we were just talking about during the break for the NHL, and I did a whole awards wrap-up for the NHL, specifically about the MVP. And looking here at basketball, I got the winners with the MVP finally being announced, and that, of course, being Steph Curry, if you live under a rock and hadn't heard about that by yet. But the other awards, which a lot of people, I don't know if they have heard, the Defensive Player of the Year is Kawhi Leonard from the Spurs. The Rookie of the Year, which I know got a lot of controversy with that one, was Andrew Wiggins of the Timberwolves. The Sixth Man was Lou Williams of the Raptors. The Most Improved Player, which came out yesterday, happy to hear, well-deserved, to one of my boys, Jimmy Butler, on the Chicago Bulls. And the Coach of the Year was Budenholzer. I did not know how to pronounce his name, of the Hawks. Yeah, he's the Coach of the Year, obviously. I think that came as a surprise to nobody. That was probably the least contested award right there, as Coach of the Year, for what the Hawks were able to do with really no superstar players on their roster. We'll go ahead and start with Coach of the Year. Darius, your thoughts on that?
I definitely agree with that one. I know Steve Kerr, a lot of people had him as the Coach of the Year, but I had already thought the Warriors were a good team, and they were probably going to They might not won 67 games with Mark Jackson, but I thought they were going to steady rise. Nobody saw the Hawks winning 60 games this year. So I definitely had to go with Budenholzer. That was my pick to win Coach of the Year, so I was happy for him that he was able to get that.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree. Like I said, this was probably the least contested award out of all of them. It easily went to Budenholzer with what the Hawks said. You kind of just summed it up perfectly right there. Jimmy Butler, Most Improved Player. I also think this one is kind of no contest as well. It looks like we have Goran Dragic. Oh, no, those are the past winners. Excuse me. I was going to say, didn't Dragic win that already?
Yeah.
But
I think second place might have been Draymond Green, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, this was another kind of an easy one. Jimmy Butler kind of becoming not just an all-star, but I don't want to say superstar, but whatever is right below that superstar level is Jimmy Butler this year. Yeah. So another one, this is another award where I think it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Jimmy Butler definitely deserved Most Improved. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, there's nobody else really that could have been there. I know Draymond Green had a good year, but Jimmy made a step this year. I don't know if he can make another step like that. This was probably, his level.
Yeah, you think that's it, the plateau?
Yeah, I think that's probably, the level. But, it's still a great improvement from the point that he came in the league as to where he's at right now. He's definitely made a good jump, a great jump, as a matter of fact. But, yeah, I mean, well-deserved. There's really nobody else I could see, getting it. It's nice to see the Chicago Bulls, winning the award. I remember the last one might have been Derrick Rose with the MVP.
Or no, Joakim Noah, Defensive Player of the Year. And then he got completely shown up last year by Nene.
That's why I forgot about it, because Nene stole it. Nene should have a trophy in his house right now, defensive player, because he killed Joakim Noah. But it's just nice to see the Bulls be able to get the award. So I guess they've been getting some awards actually pretty recently. But yeah, good for Jimmy Butler. and the Bulls. That's definitely a good sign.
Oh,
Now he's definitely going to be saying to the Bulls, give me my money, because he's a free agent this year.
So we'll see how that goes. Sixth man of the year, also being a Bulls fan, I can make a case for Mirotic in this one.
Absolutely.
But honestly, I'd say well-deserved anyway to Toronto's Lou Williams. A little love north of the border there.
Yeah, I don't really know how much Lou Williams really deserves this, because, I mean, who the heck has watched Toronto Raptors basketball?
Yeah.
I don't know. Personally, I wanted to give it to my homie Isaiah Thomas. Short left-hand guard. I mean, yeah, y'all know I got to support that.
Of course.
But, I mean, hey, whoop-de-doo, Lou Williams. I'm just happy your team was eliminated because I don't like seeing the Raptors on TV.
No?
So, I'm happy they got swept. That's
Really?
cool with me.
What do you have against Toronto?
They have no
They're
players.
basically in America.
They
pretty
have
much.
no players that I like. I mean, Kyle Lowry is cool, but besides that, I don't like anybody else. Since Vince Carter left, I really have not cared at all about the Toronto Raptors.
Really?
Yeah, I don't care nothing about that team.
Well, see, I mean, for me, going obviously back to hockey for this one, if my favorite team after the Hawks is probably the Toronto Maple Leafs. I actually been applying to Toronto when I get out of school to try and do something. That's where all the NHL stuff is in Toronto. So I've kind of gotten to know the city a little bit, thinking about even moving there. I guess getting a visa. I guess that's as crazy as that is to
C4
say.
Sports getting global out here.
Going to Canada, but I know they have a really good fan base. They love the Raptors. I follow a lot of the Canadian media for the hockey updates, like TSN. They do the Toronto Raptors coverage as well as the Maple Leafs. And during the playoffs, they were posting a ton of stuff. If you don't know what TSN is, that's basically the Canadian ESPN, if you didn't know that. But yeah, they love the Raptors up there. They have the whole hashtag We the North. Drake, who I know you're a huge fan of.
And that's another reason.
Your homeboy Drake.
No.
He's their team ambassador, I
Yeah.
think. He's sitting courtside at all the games. But yeah, they have a great following up there in Toronto. It just doesn't seem like a lot of American players want to go just north of the border, just north of Detroit. I think it's like an hour 15 north of Detroit. Just literally over the river right there. The lake is the border between the two countries, and they don't want to play up there in Toronto.
Personally, y'all know I've played basketball basically my whole life, and my whole dream was to be in the NBA, and that's still my dream. The likeliness of that happening, we don't have to discuss that on there. But personally, I wouldn't play for Toronto either, just because I wouldn't want to be in Canada. Now, I have no reason why I don't want to be there.
No.
I just don't. I don't know. I mean, they don't get a lot of coverage here in America, and I know like some of their games you can't show on like American networks. You got to go through clearance and all that. So just for that, I wouldn't want to be there. But then on top of that, the Raptors they got good last year, and then this year they were at one point they were like the 2 seed, and then they fell a little bit. But you got swept in the playoffs.
Yeah.
By the Wizards, who everybody said was an underachieving team.
Yep.
So and then like you said, Drake is a part of your franchise. As long as Drake is there, there's no reason for me to have to support y'all.
Yeah, it's just interesting to watch. I'm not sure how the basketball team does it, but I know at least why the hockey teams in Canada, why you'll see a team from Quebec City go to Colorado, or a team from Winnipeg go to Arizona, or Florida has 2 hockey teams. The reason they have that, and at least for the NHL, I would assume it would be the same for the Raptors, and then as well as the baseball teams that have been in Canada. I think the only one now would be the Blue Jays, but I know we used to have the Expos and stuff like that. Is those Canadian teams turn profit in Canadian dollars, which is significantly less than the American dollar, and I think they have to pay all their taxes to the league as well as player salaries in American dollars. I know this is how it works for the NHL. I'm just assuming it works for the NBA and MLB the same way. And it's hard for teams to stay in Canada. Toronto, obviously, it's going to be easy. The biggest market in Canada is Toronto. And they have no problem, filling the seats, whatever the sport is, whether it's the Blue Jays, Maple Leafs, Raptors. But for a lot of these other teams up in Canada, especially the farther west you go until you hit Vancouver, there's not many people. It's like, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, they're all like North, South Dakota, Montana is to us. So there's not much for a fan base there, and they're all generating their profit in Canadian dollars, then they have to pay their expenses in American dollars, so it's very hard for them to actually make money that way because of the Canadian dollar. And I'm just guessing if that has something to do with the Raptors and their kind of financial struggles, even though they are in Toronto.
Yo, I mean that's definitely not cool though. That's not cool at all.
You don't mess with the Canadian dollar.
Yeah, I don't mess with all the having to give up the cash and then all that. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. Some places have, I know like Texas be a big thing because you don't have to pay taxes and stuff like that. So I mean, there's something like that everywhere. That's with whole lifestyle choices. I just personally just don't want to be playing for Toronto.
No.
Now, I mean, if we could flash back maybe 15 years of
with
Vince
Vince Carter and
there,
Tracy McGrady.
Yeah, you would bring back, the dinosaur jerseys and everything, and maybe I can get down with that. But the current state where basically Drake is the face of your franchise, And I ain't got nothing to do with that.
See, my favorite, though, for the Raptors were the ones right after the dinosaur thing. I think it was maybe one year when T-Mac and Vince were there together. It was purple on the front and black on the back. Those are my favorite. Those are some nice jerseys.
Yeah, they used to have some good stuff, and now they're just kind of boring to me.
Yeah, and what is up with the new logo, too? For a second, I had to see. I was like, what team is that? It's their new little claw on the basketball. I'm like, what is up with that?
I think Drake has something to do with that.
I do not. I mean, I'm not like you. I actually am a fan of Drake, but if he did have something to do with that, he should probably stick to, like, music and bad acting.
Yeah, I feel like he should just stick to acting overall. Get out of the musical lane. That's why Nightmare City is coming soon. City! Just had to shout that out just real quick, All right. City season right now.
Hey, just let me know when the music videos are this summer so I can be there with the boombox and sunglasses in the background.
We'll see how we got to set that up. I'm trying to see how we'll be able to pull some videos off.
All right.
But yeah, Lou Williams, whoop-de-doo for you. I don't really have too much to say about Toronto.
All right, Rookie of the Year, Andrew Wiggins. I've heard some people not very happy with this choice. What do you think?
I don't know why. I mean, the only other dude that I could have thought about was Mirotic, really, for Rookie of the Year. But I'm not surprised. Wiggins, I believe, led the rookies in scoring. He actually had some good games towards the second half of the year, scoring-wise. So I'm not really disappointed in that. It would have been nice, though, if Jabari,
I think that's what a lot of people had said, that he got lucky that Jabari isn't playing.
Yeah, I wish Jabari would be healthy. And hopefully Jabari has a healthy year next year. And hopefully he produces a lot. Because I definitely want to see him succeed in the NBA. And Milwaukee has a nice, young team. But Andrew Wiggins, he has some bright spots this year. And they also have another young guy with Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
Hopefully those two, together can grow to be something nice. Because that would be a nice tandem in the NBA. We were talking about fast break points earlier with the Cavs and LeBron. Wiggins and LaVine out on the break, that's a dangerous sight that those two guys, can continue to develop. So I don't really see any problem with Wiggins winning that. That's what I expected.
What do you think if Jabari was healthy? Do you think he could have won it based on what we saw from college and when Jabari was healthy for the Bucks?
I definitely, personally, I would have picked him. I believe that's probably who I did pick.
Yeah.
So, because, he definitely had some good games. He actually played better than I kind of expected. He was explosive earlier this NBA season, dunking the ball.
Yeah.
When you look at the way his body is framed, it doesn't really look like that's something that he plays above the rim. But he actually has some good games. So hopefully, he's been out there developing. He could cut down on the weight a little something. I think he could. He can get in better shape. So hopefully that's what he's been doing while recovering from the ACL tear and continuing to film that same Gatorade commercial that I keep seeing 5 times a night.
Yeah. Every time I watch SportsCenter, it's on like twice a commercial break.
I'm tired of seeing that thing, but. He has a better, system around him, too, at the same time. He has a lot of players. Jason Kidd, who was shown in his first 2 years, he obviously can coach at least something. The Bucks went from the worst record to being in the playoffs. But, he has a better team around him. So I don't know if he would have been able to win it just because of that, because I don't know how much his numbers would have went down because of the team. But I think he should look forward to having a bright future in the same with Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins definitely... The second half of the season, he definitely put up some big scoring nights. And he's definitely explosive dunking on people, and that's something I like seeing personally.
Wiggins put up good numbers in his rookie season for Minnesota. 44% shooting from the field, 17 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Do you think Cleveland, I'm going to end with this, do you think that Cleveland made the right choice of dealing Wiggins, a young up-and-coming rookie of the year now, for Kevin Love, who might be leaving, and he really just hasn't fit in with the team?
I don't think they made the right move, especially if Kevin Love leaves. And the main reason I think that isn't necessarily for Kevin Love because later on you saw the Cavs trade for Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith. So they were looking for a wing defender who could be explosive. Now, Smith is definitely a better offensive option at this stage than Andrew Wiggins is. But imagining Wiggins growing and being under the tutelage of LeBron,
there's not a better
playing
teacher
with Kyrie. I think years down the line, that definitely would have made the Cavs a better team. So probably right now, we don't really see it as big of an impact because it's not like Wiggins was going to be averaging. I think he averaged 16 a game.
About 17.
Yeah, he wouldn't really be around that probably with the Cavs right now if he was there. It'd be kind of hard to see that. But I think years down the line, if we continue to see Wiggins develop with Kyrie, I think that would have been that's something that could hurt the Cavs down the line. So that probably wasn't the right move.
What about the defensive player that you're going to, Kawhi Leonard, last year's Finals MVP?
To me, first of all, he's a great defender. So I don't have a problem with him as a defender, but I felt like he didn't play enough games. I believe he only played 66 games.
Yeah, he was hurt. I remember that. He was hurt for a while.
I personally had DeAndre Jordan winning.
Yeah, me too.
I think he came in 3rd place, and I was surprised by number 2 was Draymond Green.
Really?
Yeah, Draymond Green this whole year, I kept hearing a whole bunch of people, like NBA experts. Let's see, who do we have? Chris Broussard. David Aldridge. I think they had picked him to actually win.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? Have I been missing something when I watch Warriors basketball? And then, like I said earlier, he actually has been doing well against Zebo so far this series. So maybe there's something to that Draymond Green thing. Speaking of Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green's another dude who's going to be asking for the money. He's a free agent this year too, so I know he's going to be getting paid.
Yeah, which interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. I was about to ask you about Draymond Green. They're saying what I've heard, if Kevin Love walks, the Cavaliers are going to be pushing for him more than anybody else.
I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. To me, Draymond Green is undersized, and I feel like he's perfect for the Golden State system because of that, because he can run it and the way he shoots threes. But I think it depends on what LeBron wants to do. If he doesn't mind moving to be in the power forward, and they just play that type of lineup, even though Draymond did play power forward, I don't know. I don't really know. I feel like Draymond Green's a dangerous guy to can't really throw money at, though, like that. Like, throw a max contract. I know he's had a nice year this year, but I
would not give him big time money. He's not that type of player.
I don't think that I would pay him like a max type of deal.
I think he's thrived in that. Yeah, he's thrived in the role that he has, where he's playing behind, all the attentions with Curry, the Splash Brothers, Thompson, as well as David Lee and everybody down there in the post. He's kind of that other guy where you're like, okay, we don't really have anybody to put on him anymore.
Yeah, exactly. He can spread the full floor, and he's great at setting screens. Yeah. He's definitely a big energy guy. We talked about Joakim Noah being a heart and soul of the team. Draymond Green is definitely probably the heart and soul of Golden State. He's the one I always see out there talking. So I don't have a problem with Draymond. It's just he would have to show me a little bit more before I throw a lot of money at him.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, hey, kudos to him. Kawhi Leonard, great defender, and I mean he definitely played well in the first round. They just weren't able to get past the Clippers, but he definitely did his thing. It's gonna be interesting to see what the Spurs do, because Manu has been talking about retiring a little bit. I think Pop and Tim Duncan will come back, but the real thing that I think the Spurs need to do is look for a young point guard. Tony Parker did not look like himself at all this year. I know he was hurt, but even at that, he really didn't. I think Tony Parker's year or his time is done. He probably play next season, but I think they really need to invest in getting a young point guard to be under him.
Okay. The final award was MVP, which I know both of us disagree with. Steph Curry got the official MVP award, just gave a nice speech the other day, though I don't think it compares to guys like, of course, Kevin Durant, memorable one last year. LeBron has had, multiple speeches, but I've liked all of his. He's kind of gone the same way as Durant, thanking his mom for everything, giving some nice stuff to his teammates. Even Derrick Rose had a memorable speech being a Chicago kid, just like Derrick Rose. That was fun to see back in 2011. But yeah, Steph Curry just won the award. He'll probably be receiving it, I think, officially, where they do the whole thing before the game. Did they already do that, or was that the next game? I think it's the next game.
I think they did.
Where they do it before the game, and that's kind of the...
No, they might have. They might have did it during game 2. I didn't see the start of game 2. No, they did. Yeah, they did.
So he already
I kept telling people that he wasn't going to drop 52, because when AI won MVP in 2001, he didn't drop 52 that same game. But, I mean, hey, a little minor detail.
All right, we don't have to talk about that. It's okay. So, everything, all the hoopla's out of the way now for Curry. He finished the season shooting about 49% from the field. Impressive for a jump shooter, at about 24 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists. So, very good numbers. But yet, both of us here at C4 Sports disagree with him being named MVP.
Yeah, like I said when we were talking about who we picked, I wouldn't be upset if he won. I just felt like Harden did more with less. But one thing that was impressive that I saw is that Steph Curry is the first MVP. Like, I mean, he's the only MVP. It's tough how to judge this. He only played 32 minutes a night. Yep. And so that's the lowest amount of minutes that an MVP has played. So those numbers and only 32 minutes, that's highly efficient. So that's very impressive. And as far as in the postseason, even though that's not what goes into the MVP voting, Steph has definitely played better than James Harden.
Yeah,
that's not even hard. That's not even hard to say or to come up with. But yeah, I definitely think that Harden had to do more with less. I saw this was the closest race between 1 and 2 in the votes in 4 years. Okay. So I mean, the voters definitely had some close calls. But Steph Curry got 100 out of the 130 first place votes, and that's a lot to me. I didn't think he was going to get that many. Harden only got 25 first place votes. So, I mean, a lot of people definitely had Curry winning in the majority over Harden. I mean, hey, kudos to both of them. Them along with Russell Westbrook all had a productive season. I believe, who came in number 3? Was it LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron was
3. Yeah, so I mean, it was a good year overall for a lot of players. It's just nice to see somebody new with the award.
It was just at the end of the day, or the last 2 months, it was pretty much just between Westbrook, Harden, Curry, and LeBron. Yeah, was kind of who it ended up being, which was kind of interesting. This was, like you said, this is normally when it comes down to the end of the year, it's between 2 guys, really, honestly. Or if you want to go back to 2012, you could have given LeBron the MVP by February. Yeah. And so it was kind of interesting to see 4 or 5 guys in that race all the way till the very end. So yeah, that's, like you said, that's kind of something new.
It is, and it's just nice to see the game switch up. Just like it's in the playoffs itself, the team that was in the finals, or the teams that were in the finals the last 2 years, are not alive anymore. Spurs are now out, and of course the Heat didn't make the playoffs. So the only remnant really of being in the finals is LeBron.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has a tough matchup in a way versus the Bulls. So it's just nice to see something different. One thing that a lot of people complain about with the NBA is there's a lack of parity.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to go ahead and get a new feel every now and then.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead and move on. What do you see coming up next for the playoffs? What are you looking forward to? Some stuff to keep an eye on for our listeners out there.
I'm really just looking forward to Memphis beating Golden State. I know a lot of people here were in the Midwest, and a lot of people are Bulls fans. A lot of people either like or dislike LeBron for whatever reason that may be. And I'm going to be watching that series, but the number one series I really care about is Memphis beating Golden State. Just because besides us two, I really haven't found anybody else that thinks that Memphis is going to win this series. And a lot of people are really talking about Golden State. Like you said, it's a bandwagon team. They're excited to watch.
I've seen so many Steph Curry jerseys at the Rec. People just trying to shoot like they're Steph Curry.
And that's what people say now. It used to be when you shoot, you say Kobe. Yeah. Now everybody says Steph when they shoot. Yeah. And I mean, he's deserved that. That's not his fault.
Yeah.
But it's the bandwagon thing. Everybody likes them. They're exciting to watch. But I like seeing the grit and grind of Memphis. They're playing in the grindhouse these next 2 games. I just hope that they're able to beat Golden State. That's really the big thing that I want to see. But if there's anything else to look out for, it's definitely seeing how the Bulls respond. And how, the adjustments that both those teams make versus each other as the series progresses. That's basically the 2 big things I would say look out for.
All right, so you heard it here first on C4 Sports. It's about 6 o'clock on the dot. We're going to go ahead and take another break. We should have the full and tangent of C4 Sports here at some point during today's show, so maybe we will end up going the full allotted 2 hours. We're going to go ahead and see. We will keep you updated as the other members head into the studio. But it's break time right here at C4 Sports. Coming up on the other end, we'll talk a little bit more basketball. Then we got some hockey playoffs until Adam comes into the studio to talk Leatherneck baseball. It's C4 Sports right here on 88.3 The Dog.
Thanks for asking, but I'd rather not send you nude pictures. I'm camera shy. I already said no. It's against my religion. I'm giving my dog a bath, you can have pictures of that. Pressure gives me hives. Under my clothes, I'm a robot. Hold on, let me ask my mom. Sorry, my webcam is broken. I'm worried they'll get passed around school. Unfortunately, I just had my clothes surgically attached to my body. If they got out, I might never be president. I'm already naked, under my clothes. Not even if you were all 3 Jonas Brothers. I have a rash. I have nudophobia. I have lizard skin. The more you ask, the less I want to. You're not the boss of me. Nudity makes me vomit. I'm a vampire, so I don't show up in pictures anyways. Your badgering has really killed the mood.
When someone is pressuring you to do something you don't want to, how many ways can you say no before they get the message? Let us know at that'snotcool.com. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cool time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay.
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing, it really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back to C4 Sports, now C3 Sports, as we're only waiting on our Leatherneck Baseball insider, Mr. Adam Feiner. We're going to talk a little bit more basketball, then we'll take a quick break and go into hockey until Adam shows up. Ryan, since you are with us in the studio, what are your take on the NBA playoffs so far? From what you have seen, you're probably like me, you haven't seen, we both have not seen as much as Mr. Darius over here.
No,
but
because I pay more attention to hockey and baseball is in full swing and umpiring and all that stuff, so I stay busy watching baseball.
I know you've at least seen some of the Bulls and Cavaliers series now.
I thought the Bulls were going to blow it after those 2 games that they just
against Milwaukee.
I had a feeling I'm like they're going back for Game 6. I'm like unless they shoot out, then anything could happen in Game 7. Was surprised by Washington. I thought Washington was not going to make it past Toronto. I had Toronto winning, but that surprised me. I guess that's probably the only real surprising thing I saw. I was upset to see Clippers win.
Yeah, we were all kind of talking about that. We were all rolling with the Spurs.
I am not a Doc Rivers fan, and I'm tired of NBA complaining a foul every call. Just not the Clippers. Clippers are probably a prime example of it. But come on, I mean, like, there's allowed touching, okay?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think for me, it just comes with the territory. It's like people say, oh, how do you watch soccer? I'm a big soccer fan with all the flopping. I'm like, well, one, I think the flopping in soccer is just straight funny. I think it's funny, and I find that entertaining. But it comes with the territory. I think with the modern day and age and the basketball, specifically the NBA, I think the flopping and the complaining is just a part of the game. Everybody does it. People try and put it on it. Like, obviously, being a LeBron fan, I hear, oh, LeBron cries, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what? Everybody does it.
He's not the biggest
Everybody does
crybaby.
it.
He is not the biggest crybaby. But what am I looking forward to for the rest? I'd like to see the Bulls win.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that would make a good Eastern Conference Finals if they do win.
Yeah.
Because Cavaliers are the team, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say right now that probably the winner of the Golden State-Memphis game is the team that's going to probably represent the West in the championship game.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's my opinion. Besides that, go NBA basketball. Not really. But I was happy. I heard you guys talking about the awards. I was really happy for Jimmy Butler. Even though I didn't watch much basketball, but Jimmy Butler, if it was for Jimmy Butler this year, the Bulls would not be where they're at right now.
Absolutely.
And good for the Atlanta Hawks coach. And I think their GM won Best Executive, didn't they? Or
I think it was the Warriors. I think it was Steve Mills from the Warriors, I believe. He
did. But I thought the Atlanta, because they were talking about, goes like, how would it be that Atlanta executives would win after all that controversy they had before the season started? Yep. Besides that, Steph Curry I'm happy with. I always thought Steph. I'm like, James Harden might have done better, but I mean.
Yeah, especially with the team success that Curry had.
Yeah.
That always helps.
Yeah, that always helps. So, yeah, I'm hoping for, if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to say Golden State versus, I'm going to say Golden State versus the Bulls in the finals.
Okay.
I'm going to take a leap out there. Bulls win Game 3. I think they're in the driver's seat a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's my prediction.
Okay.
I'm safer on that West Coast than that East Coast because LeBron probably will not want that to happen.
Yeah.
Or he's not going to let it happen, but I'd like to see it.
I mean, I know you're watching, especially with the Blues out now, primarily baseball with the Cardinals. But if you do turn on ESPN or something like that, what are you looking forward to for the NBA playoffs? If you're looking forward to one or a couple things that you want to see happen, just besides the Bulls in the finals.
Besides that, because I don't know.
Not the Clippers. Clippers not in the finals.
No, crybabies. They're all crybabies, and yeah, You know what? Golden State winning it.
Okay.
I'll say I really want them see them win it. Give it to the West Coast. Give it to a small market team.
Okay, and up there in Oakland.
Yeah, small. I think they're still considered small market, aren't they?
I think they're kind of. Well, it is Oakland and San Francisco. Kind of, they're all kind of one big market.
They definitely won't be considered small market once they move into that new stadium.
The Toilet Bowl, or what they're calling. Yeah,
once they move into that, I don't think there'll be small market then.
But yeah, they're still small market.
Yep.
I mean, you kind of like those teams. It's not an LA team.
Yeah, it's not New York, Chicago, LA, Miami like that.
And I guess you could call Cleveland a big market. I would say with LeBron there.
I think they're a medium-sized market. The reason I think Cleveland itself would be kind of a medium-sized market. It's just now that LeBron's there, you draw in the attention from everybody who just wants to see him play, myself included, for everybody else. And now we have the full contingent of C4 Sports. We are here. I think this might be our first full show, maybe, of the semester and our last show. But Mr. Adam Feiner is in the building with us after Ryan just showed up. Adam, before we get to some Leatherneck baseball talk, what are your thoughts so far in the NBA playoffs? Real quick before we move on. I think we'll just end with you and what you've seen and what you're looking forward to.
I know. I love the Western Conference playoffs. I think those have been pretty good games as far as I'm concerned. Blake Griffin is the best player in this playoffs.
Yeah, that's what Darius said. Yeah, Darius said the same thing.
Too. And you
Darius said the exact. Yeah, Darius said the exact
look
same.
For probably LeBron to step into that 3 or even elevate his game even more. All the Bulls fans, myself included, that got really excited about the Game 1 win in Cleveland.
That's happened every time the Bulls play LeBron. They win Game 1, lose 4 in a row. Me and Darius talked about that a little bit earlier.
LeBron's he's not going to let his team just lay down like that. Yeah. Even with the inexperience, even with Love out, even with J.R. Smith out, even, with a relatively inexperienced team, LeBron's not going to let that happen.
Yeah, I could see that. What are you looking forward to heading into the rest of the playoffs? Kind of what are you watching other than, I guess, the Bulls, being a Bulls fan? What else is there for you in the NBA playoffs?
I think there's a little bit of intrigue with Golden State losing.
Yeah, that's what everybody has said
Memphis.
So far. That's what everybody has said.
I think that's what I'm looking for because Memphis is a tough place to play, and I think I can see that going the distance and probably being the best second-round playoffs.
Well, who do you got in that one? Because most people have the Warriors, but I know Darius and I both have the Grizzlies. Ryan, you went Warriors. So who do you have then?
I'm going to make it a 2-2 split. I'm going to say Warriors in 7.
Okay.
I think it's going to be 3-3, and Golden State's going to use the home court in Game 7 to their advantage.
I see. What else? Final thoughts for you for the NBA playoffs?
I'm not sure what Washington's going to do, really, with Wall being really banged up.
Yeah.
I think that's a really difficult situation because they've got Ramon Sessions stepping in, and he's not John Wall. John Wall's really elevated his game this year. So I think there's a little bit of intrigue since the Wizards, I think, underachieved during the regular season. Now that they're elevating their game and they get hit with this injury, I think it'll be intriguing to see what they do.
All right, all valid points. C4 Sports is here in the building. We're going to go ahead and take a real quick break, and on the other side of this break, we're going to come back to you, Adam, as we have our Leatherneck Baseball Insider to update us on Western Illinois baseball. It is C4 Sports right here on 88.3 The Dog.
What is that?
Oh, it's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs. Cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money. Always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control of my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Hey America, we are your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet.
Enroll, we say, we want you to be okay. Enroll, we say, take care of people for goodness sake. There's a plan for every budget, so don't accept defeat. Now you can get covered and still buy me treats.
Enroll! So listen to me, a talking pug, you see. If you get health insurance, preventive care is now free.
So sweet. You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options. That's getcoveredamerica.org.
And take care, people!
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to C4 Sports. My name is Adam Feiner, at NobodyFeiner on Twitter. And I am going to update you about Leatherneck Baseball. We have our final home series upcoming this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday's at 3 o'clock, and Saturday and Sunday are noon starts. We'll be playing Omaha, who actually is not eligible for the conference tournament since they're in their final year of ineligibility from postseason's play since joining Division I from Division II. So that's an important series for us because we are currently tied for the last, how should I say this, position in the Summit League.
Okay.
To get into the Summit League tournament with defending champion North Dakota State. And they've been playing well. We actually went into Fargo and won the first two there. We have a 4-2 season series win against them. So we do own the tiebreaker, but it'll be interesting to see how we play these next two series against Omaha and then during finals week against the league leader Oral Roberts in Tulsa.
Okay. I would say... how would you say the team has developed or progressed this season since we kind of last talked, which was quite a while ago, honestly, it feels like?
Right. I say overall, I think we've developed the most mentally. I think there have been a lot of ball games where we've been down, where teams have jumped on us early.
Yeah.
And early on, we would have just kind of lost it.
Yeah.
Let the game get out of hand. There were a couple of games in Wichita over spring break where that did happen. I think we've shown mental growth, mental strength growth.
Okay.
Throughout the season.
Who's kind of been your best pitcher, your best guy who's been best at the plate, best in the field? If you could kind of give out some of those names?
Um,
Who's really stepped up for you guys this year?
I think, I know senior Tom Constand has really given us some good innings lately. Although we're dealing with some injuries in the pitching staff right now, I think it's been pretty quality throughout the season, really. You can't really say that this guy is, the top guy.
Yeah.
We do have a Friday starter in Joe Mortellaro, but, due to some injuries, guys get moved around, and I think everybody has had a game or even a series where they've really stepped up. As far as a non-starter or bullpen guy, I think senior Tyler Owings has really been our best pitcher so far.
Okay.
As far as the plate, I'm going to say senior catcher J.J. Reimer.
Okay, yeah.
He's been catching almost every game during the week or during the weekends, but he plays every single game, whether that be at first, behind the plate, calling games. He's really doing it all, and he's really finishing his senior season and his baseball career very well.
Is there any updates you can give us about any other teams in the Summit League? Who's hot, who's not, that kind of type thing?
Well, unluckily for us, North Dakota State is kind of getting hot at the right time. They came back a couple games in Fort Wayne and beat IPFW over this last weekend.
Yeah.
To tie us in the conference. So they're playing well since we went to Fargo and took 2. Other than that, Oral Roberts has stayed hot. South Dakota State has really come on. And they might even challenge Oral Roberts.
Oh, wow.
The top spot.
Yeah, that's a little surprising, honestly, to kind of hear that, because I know you were talking them up earlier in the show, or just, I guess, in the semester.
Right, yeah. Oral Roberts once used to dominate the league.
Yeah.
Now, since they joined, they're still a very good ball game or a ball team, but there's other quality ball teams around.
Yeah, I can understand that. What are you, what are your thoughts? What's the team's focus headed into kind of the home stretch here of the season? Like you said, you're battling for that last tournament spot.
I know it's a cliche, but really it's one pitch at a time. It's one inning at a time. It's one game at a time. We can't be looking ahead. We can't be looking at what North Dakota State is doing. How are they doing with Omaha? How are they doing with South Dakota State? I think we just have to worry about ourselves, and if we play good baseball, most likely things will work out the way we want it.
Yeah, I could understand that. What's some final, thoughts? All I got for you is what do you want to leave our listeners with as we're about to head into finals week right before everybody heads home?
Right. Well, if you do want an excuse not to study for finals, come on out to Alfred D. Boyer Stadium this weekend. I know it's supposed to rain a little bit. Don't want to scare you off, but come on out and support. It's the last home games of the year. It's senior weekend. You'll see some great seniors playing their last home games.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adam Feiner, our Leatherneck baseball insider. Of course, we want to see everybody out there at the field supporting Leatherneck baseball. You guys got some good hot dogs. That's my little spiel. That's why I always go. It's the hot dogs. It's all about the hot dogs. I'm telling you, it's all about the hot dogs. That's why I go to baseball games, is for the hot dogs, dude. That's why I think I'm going to make it up to Miller Park. I got some friends up kind of in that Milwaukee area to see the Brewers play. And I heard they have got some good food, too. So I'm very excited. I know people rave about the food too, and just the overall experience. My dad was at Miller Park for some business thing the other day, and he loved it there. He said it was amazing. I don't know if either of you guys, if anybody's gone.
I was there for a concert, but that's about it. I want to go for a baseball game, though.
I was there a long time ago. This is back when Sammy Sosa was playing. That was a very long time ago, and we took a bus. And on the way back, the tire on the bus got flat, man. We were sitting outside for a while. So yeah, what memories?
Okay, well, I hope that does not happen to me.
Yeah, no. My family is actually from the Madison area, so
okay.
They're avid Brewer fans. I know I'm a Cardinals fan. I'm the oddball, but we like to go to a game every year. So very nice stadium.
Oh yeah, I've seen some games on TV there. Looks like a great place. I've heard a lot of good stuff. Just a good atmosphere. They have the slide, right? They do the whole slide. Okay, I want to see that. I wish they would let me go down the slide. That would be fun. don't think that's going to happen. But I guess we can turn our focus to our final subject, of the day. I have a little bit over a half hour, I guess, for this, and it's what I've been licking my chops over, what I've watched all year long. I've seen every single game in the playoffs so far, even if it's just the highlights I get on my little NHL app every morning. That's kind of what I wake up to.
Watching in class, right?
Yeah, I do. Sorry, Sean. I watch NHL highlights in your class all the time. But yeah, it's the NHL playoffs. Of course, my Blackhawks are up 3-0 as we look to close out and sweep Minnesota today. You guys are lucky I didn't walk around with my broom all day. But yeah, we're going to look for the sweep tonight, head to the conference finals once again. It's going to be tough. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We're up 3-0 on Minnesota. The Ducks lost in overtime. Johnny Gaudreau Johnny Hockey had that late game-tying goal against for Calgary the other night, and that's the Ducks' first loss in the playoffs, which is a little surprising to hear, especially when they played that tough Winnipeg Jets team. That series is 2-1 Anaheim. The one we were talking about during the break, which is very, very surprising, it's Game 4 is in action now. It's Montreal, who a lot of us picked for the Stanley Cup, myself included. They're down 3-0 to Steven Stamkos and the Lightning, and Stamkos only has 1 goal in the playoffs, and yet the Lightning got past Detroit in 7, are up 3-0 on Montreal. And then, of course, the Capitals, another surprising result over there in the East, 3-1 on the heavily favored Rangers. I don't know how much you guys have watched of the playoffs. I'll let you guys go ahead, start on what you've seen from these series, especially the Eastern Conference. Just, wow, has not gone the way anybody thought it was going to go.
No, Eastern Conference has been upset, and I like it. Whoever comes out of that 4-team matchup, it's going to be a great Stanley Cup.
Yeah, they're going to be battle tested.
Yeah, they're going to be battle tested. Come in with hot goaltending, hot goal scoring. So it looks like it could go back to the East this year. I don't know who will come out of it. I mean, Lightning, I think, going up 3-0 is good for them. And I think Tampa Bay versus Washington is going to be a great finals matchup. I don't see the other two teams coming back.
No hope for New York or heavily favored Canadians, who I believe you picked Montreal. I picked Montreal.
I picked Montreal.
Adam, you picked them?
Yeah, I picked Montreal.
So all three of us did.
I wanted it to go back to its birthplace. And I guess it's not going back.
Well, you also have the MVP, the clear choice for MVP, and Carey Price as well, which is surprising.
Yeah, and he was on my fantasy team this year, but he was probably the only bright spot of my fantasy team. But yeah, that's what I see. West Coast, I don't think your Blackhawks are going to close it out. I think it will be forced Game 5 back in the UC or
the UC,
the Madison
Madhouse on Madison.
Yeah, Madhouse on Madison, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I think them playing. I don't know what's going to go with the Anaheim versus Calgary.
Yep.
Since they won that game, if they went down 3-0, whoever comes out, I think it's. I mean, Chicago's not going to be heavily favored.
Mm-hmm.
If Anaheim comes out, it's going to be a tough series. So
yeah.
Similar thoughts. I think I'm not exactly sure how to feel about the Eastern Conference because, of course, Ryan said I did want the Canadians to really contend. Really have the whole nation of Canada get behind them. It's just interesting to hear the sport of hockey in the Eastern Conference is going to have Washington D.C. and at Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
it's a little weird to think about that being south of the Mason-Dixon line, but as far as the Western Conference, I don't think the Hawks are going to blow this.
Yeah.
I picked Minnesota to win Game 3 just because they're a very tough team at home.
Yeah, they're a different team at home.
And that's a very fast team. But the Blackhawks are also fast, and Corey Crawford has really kind of figured it out a little bit. I know he had his troubles in Nashville, but I think his benching has been a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's almost been a humbling experience for him, and once you get a goaltender hot, you can really ride him throughout these playoffs. As far as the other series, I still think Anaheim wins. I think they have way too much goal scoring for Calgary. But who knows? It's nice to see a Canadian team actually fight back in Calgary, unlike Montreal. So,
which is surprising, honestly.
Right. Calgary was one of those teams preseason.
Snuck in. Yeah, they snuck into the playoffs.
They snuck in, and many people, myself included, did not think they would be a factor in any postseason race. So it's refreshing to see some new teams in there.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be entertaining to really watch the Western Conference, that big matchup between Chicago and Anaheim.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of like the teams. It's all good hockey markets, I'd say, other than Anaheim and Tampa Bay left in the playoffs, which is what you always want to see. I think, at least for me, are those good traditional hockey markets. Even I'd say Washington is a good market as well, if only because Ovi fills the seats up there in the Capitol. But they've always had a good support ever since he came along. It's always just a sea of red at the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C. But yeah, I'm surprised they're up 3-1 on New York. I'm not surprised that they would win the series because that was kind of my team to watch for the Eastern Conference was the Capitals. But just the fact that they are up 3-1 on New York, they had another one of those 1 second, I guess, hockey version of a buzzer beater goal. I think that was game 1 when Joel Ward put that past Lundqvist with 1 second left to essentially win the game in regulation at the buzzer. Tampa Bay had one last night to go up, or 2 nights ago to go up 3-0 on Montreal. And really, that's just kind of been, I've been shocked. Montreal, I felt, was the best team in the regular season. Carey Price has been unstoppable. It really hasn't been his fault. The offense has just disappeared. PK Subban, after being, I'd say, the best player in the playoffs, not on the LA Kings last year, had Montreal even made it to the Stanley Cup final, even if they won or not, I probably would have picked Subban for Conn Smythe, even if he lost, because he was just absolutely dominant, especially in that series against Boston. And where has he been? Like, PK Subban's one of my boys, my favorite player in the NHL, not on the Blackhawks, and he's just been really non-existent, and that whole offense has been non-existent. Lars Eller, P.A. Parenteau, Desharnais, all guys who were scoring goals in the regular season just can't not get the puck in the net. And even I watched the highlights from the last game. They had more scoring chances than the Lightning did. It's just, it might not be their year because they just are forcing passes. Like a couple times, it was either Lars Eller or Desharnais both had an open net, and the puck just skips over their stick, and they fan at the air. And when they should have an open net to put it past Ben Bishop, who's not an elite goalie by any standard as Ben Bishop. And yeah, that's just real shocking to see as the Canadians down 3-0. Just wow. Good to see Calgary battle back. I think, say we get past Minnesota, which honestly I can say with a lot of confidence will happen. Maybe not tonight, but Minnesota, I really don't think they can beat Chicago in Chicago. Not only because of how big of a home ice advantage we do have, but they're a different team on the road. They play so well in the, as it's called, state of hockey. So even if they do win tonight, I'm honestly not worried whatsoever as a Blackhawks fan. So I have a lot of confidence. I'd say 98% confident in the Hawks advancing past this series. And I think if we do somehow pull Calgary, I think Anaheim will still, I wouldn't be surprised if they win out and take it in 5 games. But if we do pull Calgary, I don't think Calgary beats us in 1 game. I really do. They do not match up with the Blackhawks whatsoever. And I think the Ducks, that would be a heck of a series. That could be the best series of this playoffs, is the Ducks and Blackhawks in a possible Western Conference final. And that's tough. I'd probably go with the Blackhawks in 7 games just because we are the Spurs. We're the Spurs. We're the LeBron James Heat. I was reading an article today published in the Hockey News about that very thing, that the regular season means nothing to Taves, Kane, and the Blackhawks. It's all about the playoffs for us. And that's what we've seen. Even it went 6 games against Nashville, and Crawford did not play well. But even then, there were games we won where Nashville outshot the Blackhawks. We still outplayed them. We doubled, even tripled their quality scoring chances, because teams right now, it comes down to the defense for the Hawks. They're keeping up with us in the shots, but we're just keeping them to the outside. It's what teams did to us during the regular season really well, but really, there's not many scoring chances coming against the Blackhawks in a full game. We're going to double, triple their quality scoring chances. They might keep up with us in the shots, but all they're getting are shots from the blue line, especially in the last couple games. Any scoring chance Minnesota had, granted, I think they outplayed the Hawks in the third period, they were all just trying to look for garbage in front of the net, where the Hawks, we can just go bing, bing, bing down the ice and get a good quality chance in front of the net. And Patrick Kane, he's something else. He's the best player in the NHL right now, without question. Especially, he's been the most dominant player in the playoffs. And Darius, I know you don't know much about hockey, but if you sat down and watched a game with us, you would know when Patrick Kane had the puck, even if you don't see 88, because he's just that type of player. I was talking to my dad about it, and he goes back to only Wayne Gretzky is the only guy he can remember, where you get the puck behind your own net and you can go from one side of the ice to the other without being touched. And in this series, Kane has 4 goals against Minnesota. They have 4 goals as a team as well. So it's just a lot of fun to watch, and I feel lucky to be a Hawks fan to be able to see Kane. And I feel real good going into the rest of these playoffs. But that matchup with Anaheim, which I think it's going to be, I think we can all say that Anaheim's going to get past Calgary. That is going to be a heck of a matchup. I just think the experience, and I don't think there's a deeper team than the Blackhawks in the playoffs. There's not a deeper team. That's why I think you got to roll with the Blackhawks for right now, and just all cylinders are clicking, and I think it falls on Corey Crawford in the end.
They win. Do they win the Stanley Cup?
I don't know. I don't want to be a homer. I really don't, and I don't want to speak too soon. I would say from what I've seen, I would say yes right now. That would be my pick for right now, but it's tough. This is the hardest tournament to pick. It's the hardest playoffs to predict. So you never know. You really don't. I would say yes, but say we sit down in a week, say we had a show next week, I could change that pick. You never know. I like what I've seen from Washington because why I picked them to be my breakout team is because of Barry Trotz, the new head coaching change. They were always that offensive team. Kind of what I've had similar criticisms about the Capitals as what I do about your St. Louis Blues is they're a great regular season team. They'd score all the goals in the regular season, all the power play goals, win the President's Trophy 2010, 2011, then bow out in the first, second round in the playoffs because they don't have that defensive depth or the goaltending. The goaltending's been a real big issue. Finally, Braden Holtby seems to be the answer in Washington. But they were always a team built for the regular season. They didn't kind of have that physical defensive mentality for the playoffs. And now they have that with Barry Trotz. They added a lot of guys on the blue line. Mike Green, he after disappearing since 2010 when he was the best defenseman in the NHL and he just went bye-bye, he's finally starting to play well, especially on the power play. And I think we see a maturity in Alex Ovechkin with Barry Trotz as his coach. He's always been a big hitter but not a good defensive player. Now we see him playing more like a Taves or Crosby or even a Tavares, kind of getting back on both ends of the ice, and he's made a lot of good defensive plays. And he has the goal of the playoffs so far a couple games ago where he scored from his knees. I don't know if you guys saw that. Yeah. And he sniped it opposite court. Wow.
I'm about to say, speaking of Ovechkin, my homie Dan tweeted me. He said that's who he has for MVP, not Casey Price.
No,
that's what he said.
No,
hey,
he is.
I'm just a messenger.
Very wrong. Very
okay,
wrong.
Dan, you hear that? You are very wrong.
Ovechkin, I have Ovechkin at third actually, but I have Tavares at 2. I mean, yeah, Ovechkin led the league in goals.
One for you or Price?
Price is easily one. There's no question. Carey Price is the MVP. Really, look at the numbers he put up. He played, I believe. I just had to write
the first time goalie wins
since 2002 when Jose Theodore won for Montreal. Yeah, that was the last time. That was the last time a non-forward won the MVP. The last time a defenseman won was Chris Pronger for the Blues in 2000. That was the last time a defenseman won the MVP.
It's nice seeing love for other people.
Yeah,
like with NBA, LeBron not winning is nice to see. It's nice to see besides forward.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I always do. Like last year, I picked Duncan Keith. You can call me a homer for the MVP over Crosby, just because I don't want to give it to the forward. It's kind of like a quarterback in football. The quarterback's always going to have an unfair advantage because they put up all the stats, But yeah, if Carey Price does not win the MVP, I don't understand. I just kind of wrote a blog post for a homework assignment last night. I was looking at the stats. Price played in the 5th most amount of games of the qualified goalies, had the best save percentage, best goals against average, and faced the 3rd most amount of shots of qualified goalies. If that doesn't win you the MVP on a little bit of an offensive challenge team, the Montreal Canadiens are not an elite offensive team by any means. You're seeing that now in the playoffs. They can't score. If Carey Price doesn't win MVP, I don't understand what to say. And Ovechkin's not going to win it. I can almost promise you that it's going to be Carey Price. So yeah, I don't know what you guys have to say about that.
I really haven't. I mean, I've watched Blues hockey, and I haven't watched much outside that.
And plus Price, also the illustrious history of the Canadiens. The Canadiens, I guess if you don't know, they're the Yankees of hockey. They, you go down the top 10 all-time players list, at least half of them are Montreal Canadiens. He beat Ken Dryden and Jacques Plante, 2 of the best goalies of all time. He beat both of them. They had 42 was the record for most wins in a season by a Montreal Canadiens goaltender. He broke the record this season at 44. I think that record alone is going to be that's his MVP moment right there, setting the all-time single-season wins record for a Montreal Canadiens goalie. So, and that Patrick Waugh is also, who I consider the 2nd best goalie of all time. He even beat out Patrick Waugh for most wins in a season.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm just trying to look ahead. I think, we were kind of waiting, and the sport of hockey was kind of waiting for one of these lower-level teams and one of these high draft picks to really pay off. You saw McKinnon and Colorado really drop off this year. You saw John Tavares really elevate his play.
Yeah, that was my preseason pick for MVP.
Going. So I think you can almost guarantee that John Tavares for the next, I would say 3 to 5 years, is almost a lock to be talked about in preseason MVP talks.
Oh yeah, definitely. The 3 players who I say who's the LeBron James of hockey, as in they just do everything very, very well. It's Crosby, Taves, and now I think Tavares has put himself in that situation. especially coming off a torn ACL last February in the Olympics, playing for Team Canada. That's pretty crazy, honestly, if you ask me. And one thing, I don't know what you guys know about it, but obviously this draft class is super hyped up for Connor McDavid, the best major junior player of all time.
Who was supposed to maybe get it?
Buffalo. They wanted it to be Buffalo. It looks like Jack Eichel, the American from Boston, he's going to Buffalo. So what do you guys think about those big 2 picks? Because they're saying Eichel's going to be the best American player since Kane. He could change the face of American hockey. And McDavid is being touted as possibly the best player of all time.
Well, I mean, it's weird to see because...
And I've watched a lot of these, too.
You had McKinnon come in and as a rookie, took his team to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, won the Central. You had it happen with Forsberg this year with
Nashville.
So it would be surprised if McDavid can get Edmonton to the playoffs next year, because that's how it's been looking the last 2 or 3 years. And usually rookies don't have that big of an impact. You have to ride the bench for a little bit and learn. But it seems recently no. So
well, do you think these guys are going to be what they're touted to be? I'm not just saying get your team into the playoffs. I'm saying be MVPs, be a Sidney Crosby, something like that.
I don't know.
Because McDavid in his major junior career this season, he's played in 47 games. He has 107 points in 47 games.
But it's different than when you get up.
True. Very true.
Give me half a season next year. It was kind of like what we were talking about with Nashville. I'm like, you
yeah.
gotta give me some time.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know. I think with rookies, you have to give them time.
Yeah.
And you see it in every place with rookies. You have to give them time. For me, it's not like, oh, you're the next.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bow down to you. Nope. You gotta work for it.
Yeah.
Right. I know. I didn't watch any of the Frozen Four, unfortunately. I know my Wisconsin Badgers did not make the final Frozen Four this year.
I watched some of the playoffs.
I watched a lot of the hockey tournament. That was really my first time, other than the World Juniors from January where Eichel played for USA. I just kind of wanted to watch him.
I was cheering for Providence to win. I was glad Providence won.
I just wanted to see Eichel play. I was a little surprised, that Providence upset Boston in the final.
Right. It's really hard to say that, these 18, 19-year-old kids that are younger than us are going to be just these prodigies. I would say it is a good point where if they can get their teams to the playoffs, if they can almost will the team, get a little youth in there and really energize the locker room.
Yeah.
I think that's a good indication because I'm not ready to give up on McKinnon just because of the tough second year. I would say for those guys, Eichel and McDavid, look at McKinnon. Look at that example. Yeah, great first year, and then took his lumps second year. You're not just going to walk into the NHL and light it up. You may get the league off guard, but then they have scouting reports on you.
Yeah, that's usually what happens. That first game you face against them, it's like prime example is in baseball. You bring up AAA pitcher to pitch on the spot. You're going to shut down the opposing team because they don't know your stuff. It's the experience and all that stuff, and then they get used to and goes like, oh, he does this all the time, just knock him out.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see if you think they're going to live up to the hype. If you don't know, I guess my way to put it for you, Darius, is this guy Connor McDavid. He's going to go guaranteed number 1 to Edmonton in this year's draft, and the hype around him is literally the only thing you can compare it to is like LeBron James. You know how he was being told Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson as a high school kid. It's like the only thing I can think of. The hype behind that's what it is for Connor McDavid this year. So I just want to see if you guys think he can live up to that hype. It's unprecedented being told he's going to be better than Crosby and stuff like that.
Give me some time. I don't want to say coming in as an 18-year-old. Here's the key to Edmonton, or if he even gets to Buffalo. If he does, then Edmonton's stupid. But that's how I'm going to put it. So.
Yeah,
I think they definitely can. Honestly, I mean, with all the talent, you can't teach all that talent.
Mm-hmm.
So they really do have all the tools, but there's so many examples of busts and such from hockey, from every other major American sport. I don't want them to fall. I know I haven't seen Eichel play, but I did see a highlight of Connor McDavid, and in a game he had 4 assists. I think that kind of blew me away. I know 4 goals would have been like, wow.
Yeah.
4 assists is very impressive. That he's unselfish enough that, he's got a level head to where, yeah, I'm a prodigy. You know, he
Yeah.
knows he's very good, but he's also setting up his teammates. He's not going out of his way to score goals. He's setting up his teammates instead. I think that's an encouraging sign.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a lot of Eichel from the tournament, the March Madness tournament, whatever you want to call it, for hockey, the Frozen Four tournament. Saw a lot of him, as well as some of when I watched Team USA at the World Juniors from this past January, where, of course, Canada won yet again. But yeah, Eichel, just watching him in college hockey, it's another guy, when he had the puck, you knew who he was. Like, I watched a lot of it with my dad, and I kind of explained who Eichel was, and then my dad right away, he's like, oh, that's him. Because you could tell he's the best player on the ice at all times, playing in the NCAA tournament. With McDavid, I haven't seen too much of his major junior, because we don't get that in America on TV or anything.
Highlights and
Yeah. All I see from his major junior career, and he scored some highlight reel goals recently, is because I follow all the Canadian media, CBC, TSN on Twitter, so I can see the highlights on their Twitter feed, and that's about it. But I did watch a lot of the World Junior Championships from this past January, and he got MVP of the tournament. He dominated that tournament, but all I'm going to say against that is that Canadian team for a World Junior team was stacked. They were saying that's probably the best World Junior team that anybody has ever put out, and nobody even came close. That's just, they as a team were very dominant, but he was the best player on the best team, so that's kind of what I've seen from McDavid, as well as some YouTube highlights and whatnot. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see these two, especially Jack Eichel, being obviously an American hockey fan, a big fan of Team USA. I want us to beat Canada, like at a major tournament. I just want it to happen so bad. And of course, to beat Russia, that's always fun, because Canada, I see it more as a big brother, little brother rivalry. Like, I really don't have any love law, or you know what I mean? I don't have any hard feelings towards Canada. I just want to, beat them just because we're neighbors or whatever. But Russia, yeah, there's a lot of hard feelings there, so it's always fun to beat the Russians. So yeah, if Eichel can just make a difference in American hockey, not just help our team, but help change the culture of American hockey, make it a lot more popular so we can really start competing even more at these international tournaments, I'm really excited to see that. And yeah, it's just some interesting things. The final thing I guess I want to talk to you guys about hockey is one of the teams I like to support, especially if we're going to go north of the border, is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Their two best players are Americans, and Phil Kessel and James Van Riemsdyk, and just this season was bad. Real bad. I think a lot of people had them making a deep Stanley Cup playoff run. I don't know one person who didn't put them in the playoffs at the start of the year after missing it the year before. And of course, the classic collapse to Boston the year before that in the playoffs. Just what happens now? They're talking about a rebuilding process starting. You're probably going to see Kessel, Van Riemsdyk, Phaneuf, Bernier all moved and out of Toronto, which is just crazy. They have a lot of talent there, and it just has not worked for whatever reason. They were bad.
Sometimes you have to rebuild. I mean, and I'm thinking that with my Blues right now. I think it's time to rebuild, and I don't know where that's going to go, but I think it'll be good for them. It might be a struggle for 5 years or so.
Yeah.
But get rid of the players that don't want to be there, because if you're going to get my guess is there's a lot of negativity in that locker room.
That's what it sounds like. And that's the toughest. That's how, how the Yankees are. Though you play for the Yankees, there's a microscope on you. That's the Yankees of, well, I should say the Cubs, because they haven't won since '69. But that's kind of like the Yankees/Cubs hybrid of hockey is the Maple Leafs.
Yeah. So, I mean, get the negativity out there. And like I said, it might take 5 years, but it's going to be worth it down.
Do you move Kessel and Van Riemsdyk, your top guys?
If they don't like being there and they're the problems, then yeah, you got to get rid of them. I have no problem. If you're getting paid so much money and you're the problem, I don't care. It's kind of like Kevin Love. Doesn't like it there. If he's going to be a little bit of negativity and all that stuff, yeah, get him out.
Yeah.
I mean, just leave. Just leave. There's 31 teams that would love to have him. Well, it's 29, right? It's only 30.
Yeah.
Only 30 in hockey. Yeah. Because like there's 29 more teams that will pick up those two players in a heartbeat if they have them. If they have the money.
Right, and going along with that, there are a lot of good young players. You can get draft picks for these guys, and very high quality draft picks that you can really develop. I think you do rebuild. I think, going off of your point, Ryan, there's a lot of egos. You said all the big names, Matt. You said Phaneuf, Kessel, Van Riemsdyk. That's a lot of guys who really could be top players on their own team. I mean, and I was about to say something regrettable, but it's a shame that this situation has really gone south.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost been amazing to watch. It's been a train wreck. You can't keep your eyes off it, really. You got to blow that up. You got to move at least one. Because all of the egos have clashed, I feel.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be Kessel from everything we've heard, from him being called uncoachable to calling out the fans for throwing the sweaters onto the ice during games. It sounds like I don't think Phil Kessel will be there at the start of next season. And that's one of my favorite players, one of the best American players in the NHL, so I'm real interested to see where Phil Kessel lands up. He's got, I think, the quickest shot and one of the most accurate shots in the NHL. If you're going to learn how to take a snapshot, you watch Phil Kessel, the way he does it. So that's kind of something interesting to keep an eye on, at least for when the offseason comes. Another thing, Ryan, we already talked about the Hawks. The other team on campus is the Blues, and yet another disappointing finish for St. Louis in the playoffs. What happens now as our resident Blues fan?
Good question.
Because, you know, they have said Tarasenko's number one priority.
If they don't re-sign Tarasenko, I'm giving up on the Blues. I'm just going to stick with baseball. I might actually pick up NBA. That will make you happy. But they have to re-sign Tarasenko. I think they do. They have the money. If they can't find the money, I don't know what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Looking at contracts, I think I was looking at them. They're really not. There's not a lot of people that getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
They got rid of people to maybe set this up and maybe go get a goalie. I don't know how you do that. But I think Allen and Elliott are good goalies.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't have the experience. I think this postseason kind of showed that.
Yeah.
I think they'll come back better. I don't know who, but if they want to go get a goalie, go get a goalie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they'll be better next year.
Does anybody move, like Backus, Steen, Ott, somebody? I think you have to move somebody,
Yeah,
it
you have
sounds
to
like.
move somebody. I don't know.
Honestly, watching it, I mean, obviously I dislike the Blues, so there's that. But I think David Backus and TJ Oshie are very, very, very overrated players.
Yeah, they are.
They're not as good as people say.
I could see talk has been Oshie might be going bye-bye.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a fan favorite, but, I could see him leaving. Backus, I don't.
Backus had a good year. This is the best year I've seen him have in a long time.
He's the one that likes to be in front of the goal and just make that goalie mad. He's perfect for that. He's a captain. I'd keep him. Stastny's going to come back. I think that was a great pickup.
Yeah.
They got younger players. I say Oshie's going bye-bye. I could see a goalie going bye-bye. Don't know which one they want to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say Oshie. Maybe they let Steen go.
Yeah, I'm not a
They
big
signed
fan
him
of
a
Steen.
big contract. He really hasn't shown much, but
who's their top two defensemen? It's what, Pietrangelo and Ott?
Pietrangelo, Ott, no, it's Shattenkirk.
Shattenkirk. I think Shattenkirk's pretty good.
I could see Shattenkirk going bye-bye just because he's going to want some money coming up too. But out of anybody, I say Oshie could be bye-bye.
Yeah, I think they really need to solidify the D-line. My problem with the Blues is there's not a lot of parity in their defensive pairings. It's either all offense or all defense. And really, when it comes down to the Blues, I watched that series with Minnesota intently. They can't really skate with anybody on the back line. And what I mean by that is you have a forward coming to the outside, and if this is somebody even like a Mikkel Granlund, yeah, he's a fast skater, but there's no reason he's going to beat like Steve Ott or Alex Pietrangelo. 7 out of 10 times, you're supposed to just keep him to the outside, make him turn around and wait for help. I saw way too many times was a Mikkel Granlund, Zach Parise just beating Pietrangelo, Ott, whoever it was, around the outside and getting to the front of the net and generating a chance. And that's what I said about that Blackhawks series the year before. Why we beat the Blues last year was because they couldn't skate with us, and that I think happened again in the playoffs. Other than spotty goaltending, they cannot skate with players. Yeah, exactly. I know Steve Ott is way up there in age.
He's old, and
I think Pietrangelo is as well, I believe.
He's still kind of a little bit young. But yeah, I think that he gets more speed. Shattenkirk dealt with an injury in part of the season, so I think things are good.
Yeah.
But priority number one is to sign Tarasenko, because if he goes bye-bye, then I don't.
Yeah, I think they will. Do you think they're going to sign him too much? Like, I'm still a little upset that the Hawks paid so much money for Kane and Taves, and he's not at their level yet.
That's going to come and bite the Blackhawks.
Yeah, that's what people.
Defense.
Yeah.
That great defense, when their contract's up, is going to want some money, and they're going to have to say, we can't because those two people have that money, and they're not going to give that money back. They're not. There goes like, here's $2 million of my $7 million.
Yeah.
No, they're not going to do that.
They're saying that's going to happen to the Blues now in signing Tarasenko. I was reading a couple articles where they said they're going to overpay him
because I think he likes where he's at and all that stuff. I hope they don't overpay
Do you think you have to regardless?
No,
I think the Hawks paid Kane and Taves too much, but it's a move you have to make. You can't lose those guys. Do you think that's the same situation?
I think it depends on what you want to do. It depends on the player.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Kane and Taves are they're great, but we don't know what happened in the negotiations. They could have had their little young selves go like, I want this money, bottom dollar, that's it.
Yeah.
Goes like, no waving. Oh, you want to give me $500,000 less? We don't know what happens with that. You hope that a player's more understanding. Goes like, hey, we want to sign you a contract. We're going to pay you a little less. But we want to do this because we want to sign some other players that's going to help us get around. But I think they need to show that we need to get players around him. It's like, you're going to be our star.
Yeah.
But we need some more money to get some other stars to help you.
Yeah.
And maybe he understands. It's young people that don't understand that
Yeah.
much. So I'm hoping they don't overpay. But if they do, it's okay. As long as it prospers. I mean, if Blackhawks win that Stanley Cup this year, it's going to be well worth it.
Yeah.
But if they fall off, and because they can't sign Keith or they can't sign Saad, because I think Saad might be going bye-bye. Because
I think he still has a couple of years, I believe. He's got I think 2 I'm not 100% sure,
Rosenthal,
but let him go. That's not a problem. Rosenthal and Oduya can leave now if they wanted to.
But they're going to get rid of some players.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to sign because they're going to want big contracts.
Yeah. What's good about the Hawks though, at least cuz we're almost done, but I still have one more question about the Blues. What's good about the Hawks though is the youth system is excellent. You get guys like Teravainen, they just signed now I guess the best player from the KHL, which is the second best hockey league, and
that's where Tarasenko came from.
They just signed their MVP. The Hawks did. Antti Ranta came from the Hawks youth league. Is very good. Brandon Saad, even just a couple years ago, I didn't think he was going to be anything. Now he's on our top line. The contract situation could be an issue, but the Blackhawks have proven that they can develop their players, and they know their scouting is second to none. But my question, the final one, I guess we could end with this, is does the inconsistency from Tarasenko worry you at all? Because in the playoffs, he was either really good this year or really bad. He had the hat trick in one game, then the next game he had 2 shots and was like a -4.
This is his first full season.
Didn't he play last year?
Yeah, he did. Well, no, he did, but I'm talking about he was injured.
Okay.
His first 2 years before this. So we really haven't seen a full season. This is the first full season. And then he had playoffs. So he's had a break because of injury. And even though it's not a big deal, I mean, that's why you pay him a little less.
Okay.
Because we're like, hey, we've only seen you for 1 year.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping I forget who their AHL team is anyway.
It's the Chicago Wolves.
Yeah, Chicago Wolves. And I thought that the goalie was the goalie of the year for the AHL for the Chicago Wolves.
I'm not sure.
I think I knew Allen was, but I think they have a couple other good players down there. So, it scares me. Let's see what he does next year if he comes back. I don't know.
Yeah.
If he comes back in the Blues uniform, let's see how he does because I needed more than one full season.
All right, so final thoughts for the playoffs. Just a quick update. The game that is going on right now, Montreal down 3-0 to Tampa in the series, but they are up 2-0 in Game 4 right now. So final thoughts for the NHL playoffs as we leave the school year with that.
I'm going to say Washington versus the Blackhawks in the finals. And you know what? Go Ovechkin. You know, one of those players that kind of like LeBron. Great player, never could win. I think this could be the year.
You think this is
win.
his Thunder year?
This is his year. Because nothing to the Blackhawks. I just can't pick the Blackhawks. I'm tired of Chicago Cub fans already. I can't deal with Blackhawk. I dealt with Blackhawk fans last weekend for Alumni Weekend, and I had to yell at them. I was like, you name more Blackhawk players than I can, and we'll go back and forth.
I'll beat you in that. I'll beat you in that.
The bandwagoners couldn't do it. So I'm like, yeah, you're not a fan. Shut up. So that's my goal. I say Washington wins it.
Okay.
I would say, everybody around here is either a Blues or Blackhawks fan, so they're going to watch. If they're not bandwagoners, or even if they are, they're going to watch them the rest of the way. If you're a true hockey fan, watch the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Watch 2 really hot teams.
Yeah, I'm running home after this to go watch this game.
Because I think whoever is there, and if the Blackhawks somehow make it out against what most likely will be Anaheim, they're going to be facing an extremely hot team, and we all know how that works in the NHL.
Yeah.
You get a hot team, hot goaltender. Doesn't matter who it is. It could be Ben Bishop. It could be Braden Holtby. And they could beat Crawford. They could beat Taves Kane in a series.
Yeah, definitely. The Eastern Conference has just kind of blown our minds a little bit. I think my pick right now would probably be Hawks over Lightning in the final. But like I said, ask me in a week, that could change. And just looking at it right now, to assume, say, Chicago wins the series and Anaheim wins, I think that's your best matchup right there is Anaheim and Chicago. I think that's a great 7-game series right there, which would be like the Hawks and Kings of last year. That was the best playoff series. And that would probably be the toughest matchup for the Blackhawks, I would say. Just looking at the teams remaining right now with the Lightning down, or the Canadiens and Rangers both down. But yeah, that's kind of been my shock, honestly, is Montreal just not putting up a fight against Tampa Bay, honestly, and Stamkos not scoring either, and the Lightning still moving on in the playoffs. So I think that's all the time that we do have for C4 Sports this week. Our final show, we really didn't have many.
Next semester.
I'll be back.
Yeah, I'll be back. I got one more semester left.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
So all of us.
I have one more semester. I want to get one more minor, and so we'll have C4 Sports.
So you're gonna
there we go.
My parents are happy, but I don't think my grandparents are going to understand why I do it while I'm coming back for one more semester. But technically, I could graduate after this semester, but I want that one more minor and one more semester of radio.
Okay, so there you go. You hear it. You will get more C4 Sports at least for one semester next year, but for a long 3 months, our final send-off. I am Matt Langman at LmanMatt. Follow me all summer for some, I guess, just some quality tweets. Most of them are about the Blackhawks, but I try and throw some humor in there. And then, of course, follow us next semester. Tweet at us during the show.
I'm Adam Feiner. You can follow me on Twitter at NobodyFeiner.
I'm Ryan Mason. You can follow me at Mason_IsleChief if you want to. Please don't follow me.
And I'm Darius Hawkins, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Hawk_13.
So for the final time of the 2015 school year, C4 Sports is signing out on 88.3 The Dog.